Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the latest episode of Flat Plus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm your host, Brent Bakken, joined by FPF All Star Quasi Gordon Mall. What's going
So,
on, everybody? Yeah, thanks for hopping in. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so we got two special guests coming up on the show. We're going to get to those momentarily. One's going to be coming up in about 10 minutes or so. So we got two guests last week. We got two guests coming on today. So tons of action going on here in FPF. So let's hop into it, man. What do you want to start with?
so I just want to start with Division F. As the people that don't know, this is a new division that's brand new to FBF. We usually have Division A to E, and now we're introducing Division F, which is pretty cool. One thing I have to say about Division F is that I've seen a couple of the games. Talent wise, there's good teams. As we know, we have good teams, we have bad teams. I feel like it's a bit different though. I feel like I don't like I don't I have a feeling that every team's gonna get a win. There's not gonna be an undefeated team in this division, which is pretty cool because usually like you could tell you kind of look at teams like, oh, this team's not gonna get a win. I think for Division F, we're gonna have a season where there's not gonna be a winless team, which is in my eyes it's pretty cool because again it's not fun when you're a team and you don't have a win during the whole season. Something also to kind of look
Yeah.
at is that some of these uniforms are pretty damn cool. As again, one team I kind of looked at was the Rosemere Rhino Pills. They have some sick ass uniforms, and also PSTM. So
Yeah.
those are two teams that I saw, and their uniforms are pretty cool.
So I'm gonna second you on that one with those two teams. Like I've had a chance to watch a PSTM a couple of times play this season, and I like the red uniforms. It's a smart choice, right? Choosing a color like red. Not so many teams have that in FPF, so they never have to really, pretty much for the most part, don't have to worry about wearing pennies. I know we talked about 2 weeks ago about the Jamaican bobsled team, so I expressed my disappointment over the fact that I think there's one brother on the team. I'm looking at the team picture right now. I think they have a brother on the team. It's the guy, I don't know who he is. Second guy in the top left could be a brother.
Yeah,
Um, so I like the black and the green, but you guys gotta have some yellow in there, man. You guys gotta know the Jamaican flag. I'm not Jamaican at all, but I'm saying you gotta know the flag.
yeah, they
Black
got
and
a
the green is
sprinkle
solid.
stuff. They got
Yeah,
us. You
yeah,
know what? You know would have been really cool if they had their numbers in yellow in the
yeah.
back.
Okay, 100. I haven't. So we haven't seen the back of the jersey. So I'm gonna hold out hope that these guys are smart enough to put their numbers in yellow. That'd be pretty dope.
I think
That'd be pretty
that
cool.
would be pretty cool. That would be like the whole thing all together.
Because I mean, I'm not great with flags, so I'm gonna look it up now. Like, what countries have the colors of this black and green as their flag? I'm sure there's more than one, but
Black and green.
there is.
Isn't I don't want to start saying countries and I look like an
Yeah, that was two of us. I'm trying to go to Google right here, but Google's not really helping me out right now.
I'm sure there's a lot though.
There has to be. There has
I'm
to
sure
be.
I'm sure there's a lot for it. But anyways, that'd be cool for them. Hopefully
Yeah.
they tune in, they listen to us. Maybe not for this season, for next season. Their uniforms look kind of basic,
No, too bad.
kind of like the basic kind of look maybe like Sportera. Maybe they got it from the basic, just the green, one little shade here and there. So it's not that expensive. So if they do end up having this team longer in the future, yellow numbers in the back would be pretty cool.
No, no, no. This season, absolutely this season. None of this next season garbage. This season, get a change, guys.
Do
Get a
they?
change. They have
Are
to. There's
you
no choice. No choice.
Okay. So that was pretty much what I want to talk about Division F. So we can go on to Division E as well. So again, same thing for Division E. I'm just gonna pull it out here. I don't wanna I don't want to say the name wrong. It's opening up. So again, so one thing for Division E, we kind of talked about it on because I missed the last podcast, the first podcast. I think Toon Squad's gonna be a team to beat.
Yeah.
I think they're probably gonna be the most dominant team, and Gold Rush, Team Toon Squad and Gold Rush are gonna be. I think there's gonna be two dominant teams. Gold Rush last year, I believe they were one of the best teams in tier.
Yeah.
Oh no, it
I think
was
it's Division
Division
six
Six,
A
I
or
think.
six B.
Division
Six
Six
A or
A, I
six
think
B.
it
One of
was.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
probably one of the best teams.
Yeah.
Chamonix Shields too. I'll give them their credit as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And then Toon Squad's a team that they've been together for so long. It's actually something. It's kind of funny if you look at some of their pictures. they did get some upgrades, they get some downgrades, but a lot of their players were players that played FPF Junior. So
Right, right, right.
it's kind of funny to see some of these guys' pictures that didn't update them, and you're like, oh, these guys have been playing the league for a while now.
Yeah.
So that's actually something. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that they're still in the league and they're still playing. They're still playing with each other. Kind of
No,
shows
100%. 100%.
how you could bring a team in such you could how you could start in division, like, yeah, they're in division E, but again, like, this is a team that they started in junior, right? So like it's still a big step up that you're in junior and then you guys are able to come into division E and plays together still as one.
No,
So I find
100%. 100%.
I
100%.
find
Sorry.
that pretty cool. And also the fact that they're 3-0 and they're doing good in the division, right? So
That's it. That's it.
uh,
I like the jerseys aren't bad actually. They're actually like they really look like Toon Squad as well.
yeah, exactly. That's also, yeah, it's also pretty cool because they had around the same jerseys when they were, well, from the beginning too. So that was always
Okay.
something cool to
Okay.
look at.
I
But
like
yeah, so
just I was gonna say so this division so it's division E, right?
yeah,
It's it's really competitive. I mean obviously sophomore Excel we had Keon on last week. Shout out to him for coming on. That's a contending team. Reborn prospects right there just made the finals in the winter season. The Demons been around for a while, right? There's a lot of good teams, like you said, Tommy chose as well, Gold Rush. This is a really like stacked division. I mean, you look at it right now, 27 teams in this division. 20 made the playoffs. Like Flag Dealers, another team that's been around for a while. I had a chance to do a game watching Pack a Punch the other day. I came away feeling a little impressed with those guys as well. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to how this division is going to shape up towards the end and see where everything lies after the end of the regular season.
yeah, me too. It's especially super cool that there's 27 teams in the division and then 7 teams are
Yeah,
not making it. So you always have that stress
yeah,
that you have. And you're like, okay, guys, we have to start. You have to start winning games sooner than later.
yeah.
So
Exactly. That's it. That's it.
that's super cool. So, but so again, I'm also, as you said, I'm also excited to see how what ends up happening in this division.
Yeah,
Let's jump into Division D.
yeah. So one short, 26 teams in Division D. It's pretty impressive. A lot of veteran teams, like you see Trinity's in there. Nighthawks team we've seen a lot. Obviously, FBI FC. That's another one of Keon's teams. I know. So last week I talked about Via Links. So a lot of guys from the University of Sherbrooke on that team. They're battling some injuries right now, which is why they're only 1-3. But once these guys get healthy, I think there's one guy that might be lost for the season. I'm not sure. And I know you were saying there was a guy in week one that
Yeah,
an
exactly.
ambulance. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you had the guy in the ambulance. The week after, I had a guy that he smashed his knee. I got actually against Alexi Dubois. Dubois was fine. The other guy had to stop playing, and he basically hobbled out of the building. Hopefully, he'll be back sometime soon. But I think when these guys are healthy, or if they maybe get some replacements, they're going to be a good team because they have some big time players. Via Links.
okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate there's injuries that
Yeah.
happen. Also, Uncle Rico Riders is a team
Yep. Yep.
been playing a
Veteran
while
squad.
too, right? For them to be
Veteran
their team,
squad.
they're gonna be a good team to see moving
Yeah.
forward. Low gang as well.
Yep. I
A
saw
lot of a lot
Brooklyn
of
the other
teams
day.
where you kind of don't see them and then you see them again. So team Ethic as well. Brewers is also a team that's been in the league for a while. Trinity
Yeah.
as well.
You got the studs.
49 one dash Niners too. Usually they're called something
Yep.
else, but it's like their
Yeah.
second team.
You also got
But
like the Super Troopers, right? It's a team that's always in contention. I've seen the studs play a bit. So I seen Rick and Marty. I did their game last night in Bassard, so they were on field 3, and I got to scorekeep their game Sunday morning in at Concordia. They're led by Marty Freeman as the quarterback. Uh, that's a prolific offense. Like Marty can move the ball once he finds his rhythm, once he finds his groove, they can move the ball on defense. Marty, Noah Groper, and those guys, they cause a lot of turnovers as well. Shout out to the Noah Groper actually, by the way. I want to say right now, he was the guy I was in. I want to bring up a little later, but since we're talking about Rick and Marty, he could snap. He plays snapper. You can put him anywhere, any receiver spot. He just simply makes plays. He's a team guy too. Great hands. He put on a show last night. So that's another team. Rick and Marty right now 4-1, right, sitting in first place in Division D. I think they're gonna make a deep run come playoff time.
yeah, for sure. I know he's a great guy. I actually won a championship with him
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
last
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
season with the Sharks. Yeah, and
Yep.
he's an all around player. He'll rush for you. He'll snap for you. He'll
Yeah,
play defense wherever you got to put him. He'll play. He's not the type of guy. I'm not gonna do
exactly.
this. He'll put
Exactly.
him wherever, and he's there for you.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's exciting to see these teams. It's gonna be excited for playoffs again. That's one thing to kind of always look at is to see how playoffs are gonna be. But there's, as Grace said, there's 26 teams. 6 teams don't make it, so it's kind of like again like you want to win sooner than later.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's go to Division C.
Division C, 15 teams. 12 get into the playoffs. A lot of veteran teams like Speed Academy, the Petite Carrots, Jagerbomb, obviously my team, the Commission, Beer Belly Brigade, Big Fat Bats. Little surprising right now. Big Fat Bats had a lot of turnover in their roster. They're struggling. Beer Belly Brigade, never a championship contender, but definitely a team in the regular season that usually does decently. At least they're definitely above 500 usually. Right now they're sitting at 1-2. A little surprise. Slow start to the season for them. Mangoose, they struggled last year. They're struggling this year. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Division C is going to be tight. I'm actually playing the Bandits today or Wednesday, so by the time this comes out, we have played them already, but we're playing them tomorrow night. LFL, had a chance to watch them. Hopefully get the W. I came away. They lost to LeBron Tirage on Sunday, but they kept it close for a little bit. Like the Bandits are a pretty decent team, so we'll see.
Yeah, but LeBron Tirage, I don't know who the commission is on that team, but I don't know how they fit that roster. They're literally their whole team is Concordia players.
Guys. And Concordia players and an ex-TFL guy.
Yeah, their team is actually like if their quarterback is on point and he doesn't screw up and he kind of just like I saw Jeremy Murphy was kind of like coaching up a bit in the red zone because that's a lot of teams. So Manu's joining us right now.
Yeah.
he's in the building. Welcome. Can you hear us, Manu?
Yeah. So anyway, quickly, LeBron Tirage. They're the odds-on favorite to win Division C, but of course we'll see what happens come playoff time. Anyone could beat anybody, but again,
for sure. I'm just saying this roster is actually like I score kept them yesterday, which was Tuesday, and up and down. I was like, I don't know how you guys fit this roster in Division C. This is definitely a Division B team.
So you know how it is. It's a Division B team for sure, but it's a lot of guys who mainly play tackle. They're not playing FPF season after season after season, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The ratings don't go that high.
Yeah, I get it, but I also don't get it. You know, like if I'm some of these teams that play them, they're probably like I'm sure they played Bandits. They won 30. Oh, was that a forfeit?
No, they played Bandits. It wasn't a forfeit.
Yeah, I'm sure Bandits was like, why are we playing this team? Like, how's this team Division C?
Right.
I'm sure a lot of teams are curious sometimes and play. You know, when you play a team, you're just like, how is this team?
I'm one of those people who are curious as well, but I think we answered the question.
C. I remember when I was playing with the Brotherhood, and some teams would play us. They'd be like, "How are you guys Division C?" or "How you guys Division 3?" Like it makes no sense, you know. So
all right.
But it is what it is. They also have some sick jerseys too.
Yellow jerseys all right. Yellow jerseys all right. Again, it's a smart choice. No one's gonna rock yellow for the most part. So
that's the biggest thing, right? Because who wants to wear pennies?
Yeah, not me. Tell you that. Okay. So what we're gonna have right now. So like Quizzy had said, our first guest of the evening is gonna be Manu Roy. Big shout out to him, 6-time All-Star, 2-time champion. We have this thing called the Manu Mashup. With Manu coming on, he's going to talk a lot of Division 1, which is why me and Quasi didn't say anything about it, and a lot of Division 2 as well. So a big welcome again to Manu coming in here. He's going to lay down the knowledge. He plays Division A, Division B. I should say instead of not Division 1, Division 2. He's going to talk about Division A and B, two divisions he's playing in. So Manu, sure, welcome to the show. Let's do this.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Good to be back on the show. Happy to talk with you guys today. So basically, for my segment, I was looking at. We'll start with Division B, and I was thinking because there's a few returning teams that we know of, Run It Once, Fins Up, Silent Ticklers, Poseidon's Kiss, teams that have played before in higher divs. But I'm wondering if maybe there's other teams that are new to the division or haven't played as much higher divs that you think have a shot at beating those teams, these teams that are more experienced. Just looking at it so far, Mangoose is having a great start of the season. Didn't expect that, especially after their season last in winter. But I'm curious if you guys thinking maybe like a Fins Up or Never Overtime could be in those top teams. Never Overtime maybe not for now at 1-4, but Fins Up definitely a team that I would look for to compete with those top dogs.
I think honestly, I had a chance last night to score keep the game with Les Verts Fall. They were taking on Idaho the Pimps. Final score is 54-26 for Idaho the Pimps, but Les Verts Fall, they were missing two guys, one in Phil Ferrand and Francois Rochelot as well, right? Both guys members of Team Canada. They were not at the game last night, so basically it was a bunch of replacements for Les Verts Fall. They held their own for a while. Their defense gave up a lot of big plays. Unfortunately, you're missing some stud players, but they were able to hold their own for a while. And I remember they were in Division 3 last year. They had a really strong regular season. They decided to say, forget Division C. We're going to make the jump to Division B this year. And I think when it's all said and done, if they can keep the roster together and have all their guys present, I think they can make some damage come playoff time.
No, I agree with you, Brent, because playing them yesterday, I was surprised. First of all, not seeing their best players in Farran, Rochelot, and I don't know if Bellan, François Bellan is Guillaume Bellan, is on the team full time, but like without these guys, it's a big piece. But I was impressed by the other guys on the team. They're very they're good. They know the concepts. They're good route runners, and the quarterback is also mobile and he throws a good ball. I think missing those players is big, since it's like your defensive studs, and offensively also with Rochelot, one of the best receivers in the league. But yeah, it's a great point you make here, Brent, with the Les Verts Fall. I think if they can get their full squad, they can definitely do some damage and compete with the best teams. Right now, bringing up Shake and Bake, I see on the screen. That's a team that I thought would start better this season. Especially just because of the roster they have. Marc-André Reeves, a quarterback that is playing very well these few past seasons. Two tough losses to start. Mangoose, who we know is doing very well, and Fins Up. They're going to play Poseidon's Kiss next. That's a matchup I would like to see if I can. But it's a big game for them coming up, and it's going to tell us more about how their season's going to go, because matchup after matchup in Div B is very hard, and starting 0-2 is not good. We started 0-2. We got our first win yesterday. That's big, but I don't know if I put them so far in the teams that can compete with the Run It Once and Silent Ticklers. Don't know if I'm ready to put them yet. I don't know if Kwesi, you think that these guys are can compete with them.
Well, what I was gonna say is, like, right now they played Fins Up, right? That's 3 in a row, and they played Mongoose that are 4-0. So they played two of the top teams that are in the division right now, and I think Fins Up and Mongoose are probably the two teams that are gonna end up finishing first and second. I think it's gonna go. Mongoose, then it's gonna go Fins Up, and then I think it's gonna go. I think it's kind of gonna. I think it's kind of gonna go like how the rankings are now. I think it's go Mongoose, Fins Up, Silent Tickers. I think you guys are kind of slow start, but I think you guys are going to jump back up. I think you guys are going to finish maybe fourth. But I think Shake and Bake after they play the two top teams, I think they're going to have a hard matchup versus Silent Tickers. I think they're going to have a hard matchup versus you guys. But again, there's hard matches up all across the board. Like, I don't think there's any easy games to play against. I think the only team that's probably the worst team in this division right now is Never Overtime. And I think because they also made that jump too, right? They're usually not a team that plays Division B. They're a team that plays Division C or Division C or Division 3, right? So the fact they made that jump, I don't think their roster is able to compete on both sides of the ball. I think when their quarterback is on point, he's able to score points. But I think their defense is one of their biggest problems, and that's why they're going to allow like 40 or 50 points a game. So I think other than Never Overtime and Les Verts Bulls, that if they don't have their top players, I think those are the two games that they should win. But after that, all the games are going to be more difficult to win. But I think the fact that they played Mongoose, they lost by I think 1, and they played Fins Up, they lost by 3. So they lost 2 games by not that many points, but they kind of like got that out their system, you know. And I think it should get a bit easier from there. So I think that yeah, that right now they are the ninth spot and ninth seed, but I think they're going to finish in between the pack. I think they're probably going to end up finishing 5-5 and finishing in the fifth seed or the sixth seed.
I think for me, just to go back to what you're saying, Manu, like first off, Shaking Big, I'm a little surprised as well that they're getting off to such a slow start. It's predominantly the same team that they had in Division C last year and in Division Two in the winter, but they added Felix Boutte and Jerome Hovington, right? I mean, you're adding two stud receivers, so I'm surprised. Again, Marc Andre Reeves, phenomenal quarterback. I'm surprised they're getting off to such a slow start. You talked about Quasi right, their schedule. They play Fins Up in week one. They're playing Fins Up again next Sunday. So I mean, it's and then they're playing you guys and running Wentz, right? Then as you mentioned, Silent Ticklers and then Manu, they're playing you know at a pinch, right?
Yep.
So I mean, the schedule doesn't do them any favors. I don't think they're gonna go winless, but I think for them to get the 5 wins, I think after this shaky start, it might be tough. But I mean, they have the talent to do so. We'll have to see whether they do it or not. Never overtime as a team. I played against them in C last year. I mean, it's odd when these guys came into the league. They ended up going actually division. I think it was either Division One or Division A. I can't remember if it was the winter or
Yeah,
spring season.
the first year.
Yeah, yeah, and they got smoked and rightfully so. They were smart. They went down a little bit. They squeezed into the playoffs last year in C, which is why I'm surprised now they elected to go to B this year. They have a lot of talent on their team, but and you said Quasi, you're spot on, right? The quarterback Ryan Caruth, when he's on, he's on. I think he might have the strongest arm out of any quarterback in at least this division, at least in terms of airing and that. But he has a lot of those 50-50 balls, and you know what happens, right? 50-50 balls is either it's going to get caught for a touchdown or it's going to get picked off after time.
Yeah.
I like Rami Abu, like their number one receiver. I know he hurt his knee actually against me last spring. He's back now with the knee brace, but he looks as good as ever. Mac DeSource, solid player, right, both sides of the ball. But I think you guys are right when you're saying that top to bottom their roster is not going to match up with the rest of Division Two, and I think that's going to be one of the teams on the outside looking in come playoff time.
Yeah, that's the thing because you look at all the teams, and either you have teams with a bunch of talent or you have teams that have played together for a long time. I'm looking at like
Right.
Silent Ticklers. The guys is the same team basically every season for years and years. So like
Yeah.
they got the chemistry, and playing against those kinds of teams is very tough for a team like Never Overtime that Les Verchevals even that are newer to this division. But I also want to touch a little bit on Run It Once. I think Run It Once will do some surprise this year. Also, I've played against them last Sunday in Loyola and was very impressed by the roster that Jeff built, bringing Bakari Barrett and Jalen Graves in the
Yeah.
team is very big. But also got some key pieces in Sanders Armand, Paul Lapierre that are very very good, and I've played with Jeff for a couple of seasons. So I think Run It Once will I think they will be in that top four, so just over Poseidon's Kiss. Poseidon's Kiss, the thing with them is like I don't know who's gonna show up to the games. They're not really consistent in terms of like players on that show up every time, but a bunch of talent. If you have Rocco at QB, anything can happen. It's a really really good quarterback. It's just like which guys are gonna show up to the games. That's the thing that's gonna hurt them. I think if guys are not showing up, but if they're full squad, like I see Gabriel Dabé, Charles Dabé Champagne on the squad, like is he going to show up? That's a big piece right there. Emerson Peterkin played one game. Is he going to be there full time? Corey Williams as well. I mean, you need those guys if you want to compete with the top teams. But I think my guess for top one is going to be Silent Ticklers. I think that's the best team in Division B, just because, like I said, they've been playing together for a while, and they just got that chemistry that is very very hard to beat. And Jordan Pineda is as good as ever. So with his two big weapons on there, it's going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
So, so, so I was trying to ask you, Quasi, you said something interesting before. You said you're choosing Mangoose to finish with the top two seeds in this division. So I
Yeah.
just want to this is spanning it. I go, why do you think they're going to be able to finish as one of the top two
Because
seeds?
their Mangoose is also a veteran team.
Yeah.
If you check their roster, they brought everybody back where when they were playing Division A and they finished. I think they finished 7-3. They had a crazy year. They end up knocking us out in this quarterfinals. I think KGP we played with them, but they have the same roster, and they just added Marvin. So again, they have the same roster that they did so well in Division A, or I think it was Division A, but then they dropped down, so they
They
went to
went,
Division B now.
and they went 0-10 in Division B this past winter.
Yeah, but no, but that's they didn't have their roster.
Right,
Like,
right,
I'm
okay,
saying the
okay.
roster when they had division when they had a roster in Division A in the I think it was the fall, and they won like 6-4 or 7. They actually had they had a highlight where one of their players was on TSN for a catch.
Okay,
I
right, right,
forgot
right,
his,
right, right,
I
right,
forgot
right.
his name. They have exactly the same roster. They added Marvin and they dropped down. So
Yeah,
you tell me
I
like
mean,
to me that's pretty insane. And their chemistry is good. Their defense is gonna get better. It's not like a bunch of guys are kind of putting together and you're like, okay, well you have this and that and this and this and like all their guys show up. Like when they have
yeah,
when they have their full all their guys show up. The reason why they did so bad last year or the season before is because the two guys weren't on the team. The
yeah,
two guys that kind of
the Antio brothers, Simon
yeah,
Vincent.
they were not on the team. I think maybe they went to one game, but they weren't active players. This year they're active guys. They're going to be there, and it kind of just shows that's the reason why they're 4-0. And especially the addition of Marvin. Marvin's having an insane season. You have him, and then you have two. What's his name? The rusher.
Thomas
Uh,
Coutu.
Yeah,
yeah,
Thomas
you have
Couture.
him and you have
Yeah.
Marvin. Like pick your poison at that
Yeah.
point, right? Like you have to take away those comebacks where it's like the ball's thrown on the dot, and then you have Marvin where he's super slippery and slidey. Like he's gonna take Robert. He's the type of receiver you take a 5 yard hook for a touchdown. It's like the offense just got better, and it's like the offense got better, but instead of going to a higher division, you guys dropped divisions. So in my eyes, I think that's the reason why
Okay.
they're gonna have the best record.
Okay, so great. So you have Long finishing first, finishing second.
I have Mongoose finishing first, and I think Fins Up. I don't know what it is with Fins Up. They just win. They're a team that just wins. Like they just win games. And like to be honest, I didn't think they're gonna win that many games. They just win games. They just win.
I think
I
that
Okay, and Manu, you said you have Silent Ticklers.
yeah, I think Silent Tickler is going to finish first just because like their experience and they're always like in the top teams. Just I think Panetta is on fire. But just to add on what Kwesi was saying with Mangoose, you're making good points. And also I want to say like Nick Schaefer is gaining his confidence back from last season. So that's big. That's a quarterback that plays with a lot of passion. And when he has his confidence on, like Kwesi said, like those hooks at 10, 15, they come out quick. And he's very, very good. He's an elite passer. But I think the reason why they're in B, their case was that they didn't win a single game in Division 2 in winter. So it's kind of fair. I know that their roster may be like very good, but at the same time, I think it's a good decision from the league to let them play in Division B, just because last season was very hard for them. But I'm happy to see them at 4-0. It's cool to I'm hyped to play them.
Okay.
Also to go off, guys, for Poseidon's Kiss. They play the two worst teams in division right now. So yeah, I know they're as we see they're 2-0, but their schedule just gets harder from here. So a lot of times, like we're probably gonna look back at this and we're like, oh, Poseidon's Kiss started 2-0. They might finish 2-8 at the end of the season.
No.
So
Okay, little bulletin board material there. Okay. You're right though. They have a talented roster. You're absolutely right. You guys were saying that before, but yeah, it's who's going to show up and who's who's going to be there consistently and be able to make plays. Because you're right. They took on Les Verges Full, who they beat, and they took on Ever Overtime. So you're right. Two of the weaker teams in the division. We'll have to see because like I said, Quasi, the schedule gets a lot harder after this. Right, Mango's coming up. This Sunday. So actually, I'll be there for that game. I'll be scorekeeping that game. So yeah, that'll be a big one.
All right, cool. So do you guys want to go? Is there anything else you want to talk about Division P, or do you want to go on to Division A?
Let's go Division A.
Cool.
So it's like kind of similar today for my segment, like, but Division A, it's very focused like on the Braves. I mean, we know what they can do. We know that every year they're the favorite. So far 4-0. I think we expected that. But looking at the other teams, like I think Vultures is a team that surprised me a lot. Played them week 1. Very, very good quarterback play by quarterback Ben McMahon. I mean, that team can really do some damage, but coming down to like playoff playoff matchup against the Braves, I don't really see any team that can go against them in the list in Division A. But Vultures is a team that I'm really impressed by them, and looking forward to their progression throughout the season. But as far as the other teams, I don't know if you guys have a teams that like uh, you look at maybe the Jamesons that can compete with Braves. I know it's a tough question because
I think Party Crashers have a roster to compete with the Braves. When Party Crashers are consistent, all their guys are there. They have the matchups to play against them. Depending on the quarterback, if it's Fred Dupree or if it's Sean Slee. I mean, when Fred Dupree is on, he's on. Everyone knows that. But when he's off, he's a quarterback that's going to throw you three to four picks. But when he's on, he's the type of quarterback he's going to drop 40 points. And I think Party Crashers is one of the best defense to ever be made in FPF. I think the guys that they have all around are all athletes. They're able to play man to man, which is like it's something you don't do in a lot of divisions. But since our first down has changed where it's midfield and it's not 10 yards, it's more play calling that defenses kind of run now, because if you could get it incomplete on their first play, a lot of teams run hooks, right? That's one of the first thing that a lot of teams play. So first thing is all hooks. If you play man to man, you're able to have it incomplete. Instead of being 2nd and 10, it's 2nd and 20. And then they have to okay, we have to try to make an air play. Or a lot of teams, you go trips left, right? And you make a catch and you're playing let's say a two over top safety and 3 down. And then you get a quick tackle. It becomes 3rd and 15, which is it's not doable compared to 3rd and 5, which is usually the rules when it's first down, 10 yards to first down. So I think Party Crashers, I think this benefits them a lot. And when they're all together and they're consistent, when their roster's consistent, because they do have a problem with that, I think they definitely have the matchup to play against the Braves.
Yeah, it's a good point you made right there, because indeed I think they have the best defense. Just looking at individual player and can they play together? That's the question. Are they able to put it all in one and really give a team effort? I think they can, but individually, you look all across the board, it's pretty much all U Sports players and guys that played CFL. I mean, they're super athletic. I was expecting the infantry to be a little similar in terms of defensively. I'm surprised to see them 0-3, but having Wyatt, I think Wyatt is throwing for the infantry is it's new. It's not his usual team. A couple guys are that he played with before, but yeah, Party Crashers defense is incredible. They could definitely match up with the Braves, but that's the thing with the Braves. It's not only the guys that they have, is the scheme that they run is so effective and so hard to stop. I mean, you can try to mend them, but you got those matchup hell.
They have man breakers, but that's where you kind of have to put your best defender on certain guys, because they won't get away with a lot of things they do get away, As again, one thing I do have to say with the Braves, and it's they have really good concepts, but when you start understanding their concepts, you're fine. And then when they get into the double quarterback or triple quarterback, a lot of times you're oh my god, they're doing the double or triple quarterback. That's a good thing for a defense, because it kind of just shows that you're frustrating them so much that they're taking the ball out their quarterback's hands and they're putting it into someone else's hands. Most of the time, to tell you, they do get they catch a lot of teams off guard. They catch a lot of teams off guard and they end up getting a first down or a big play. But if you're able to deny their double quarterback or their triple quarterback and stop them there, they get very frustrating. And it's a huge motivation for you guys. And a lot of teams don't realize that. They're to a point oh, they're doing the double quarterback. When a team goes to double quarterback, it kind of just shows they're not putting the ball in their best player hands. So I use that motivation when when they go double quarterback, I'm happy about it. I'm okay, good guys, let someone else other than Manu throw the ball.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So Manu, let me ask you, because again, that game against Le Verge Fall last night, I think they got about two-point conversions on you guys using 3 different quarterbacks.
Yeah. So dropping 2 other QBs is tough. Like Kwesi said, it takes a lot of teams off guard. But the thing with Braves is they're dropping 2 guys that are but one of them, Will Trottier, is basically a quarterback that could play Div A and be very very good. Is a very good QB, and they dropped JD Chevalier, who's I mean incredible as a player. So like the thing is when you got these two guys dropping, and they give the ball to JD or to Trottier, they can make a lot of these throws that Myrick can also make, but man, it's hard when you've got Jeremy Murphy, James Drysdale running routes out there, Mike Garcin. But yeah, Party Crashers will like. I'm very interested in like this, seeing which matchups they're gonna put on these guys. Like who's gonna cover James, who's gonna cover Murphy, and these different guys. But like I wanna shout out like a guy like Mendel Joseph, who's really good defender.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy that can match up very well with like with the Drysdale, with the Chateau Vert. They're gonna give them some trouble, but man, it's hard to see the Braves losing this year. Like I don't know how they can lose a game.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think it's hard. Again, they're such a solid group, and they're guys that they've been playing for so long, and they're just again their system it's so hard to stop. But when it comes down to maybe not in the regular season, when it comes down to playoffs, it's completely different. You know, anything can happen. Especially like for I like I'm 100% sure the Braves is the one team they probably don't want to match up against is Party Crashers when everyone's there and they're on their shit. You know, if they're missing players, whatever, but playoffs is completely different. Usually you have a full roster. I think that's probably one of the teams that match up the best against them from up to down, down to.
I'm gonna sorry, we're gonna have to let you go soon, Manu. I'm gonna make a prediction here.
Yeah,
Braves gonna lose one regular season game this season, and I think it's actually gonna be the Quasi's crew. It's gonna be to the infantry.
Oh man, that'd be great. Like it's not like I don't like the Braves, but I like seeing them lose, just selfishly.
Yeah.
But they're like the bad guys of the league. But yeah, infantry is also a team like we didn't talk a lot about them, but 0-3, I wouldn't be too worried because the group of guys that you guys have, Quasi, is just ballers all across. So yeah, I think it's a good call, Brent. It could very well happen. But I mean, Wyatt's gotta be on his A game, and the defensive infantry got to show up like they do. I mean, they're able to match up for sure with the guys that they have.
Okay. So Manu, I just want to say thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you breaking it down, pardon me, on the Manu matchup. I don't know if you like that name or not.
I love it.
You like it? Okay, so I was gonna say okay, because Ali Reza, our producer, was like he pitched it to us. He goes,
yeah,
I'm gonna call it the Manu mashup. We'll keep it as that.
Amazing.
And we'll run it by you first. Okay, cool. So you like it? We're on board. We're good to go.
Let's keep it up. Thank you guys for having me, and looking forward to speak with you more during the season.
Definitely. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, thank you, boys. Bye.
Right, have a good one. All right. So that was again Manu Alar-Roy, 6-time All-Star, 2-time champion, amazing, great dude. And FAF, if you don't know him, walk up to him, go talk some ball with him. He knows what he's talking about. He's a great dude to help you out. Well, one of those guys, right? Played in lower divisions, made his way up, and now he's playing in the top 2 divisions.
Yeah,
in the
he made a big jump.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's something we love to see, right? You have guys that play in those. Well, it depends how you look at it, higher, lower, but division like. I look at it higher. Some people say higher division is Division 1. Some people say lower division is Division 6, which is weird. But I say it as lower. So, but he was playing in the higher division. He was playing Division like 4, Division 3, and stuff like that. And now he's playing Division 1. He actually subs for my KGP team. He's an amazing snapper.
Right.
He understands what to do. And again, he's a role player. Like players like that do pretty much everything. They rush, they snap, they play defense, they bring motivation. So he's a great guy to have on your team.
Well, we go from one guy who subbed for KGP to a guy who's like the not the father, I was gonna say the brainchild, the coach, the GM, the owner of KGP, if you will. One and only, we're joined by 2002 Hall of Famer, 10-time All-Star, 3-time champion, KGP quarterback Phil Cutler.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Let's hop into it, man. So again, I gave some of your stats. I want to ask you right away. People know you as a quarterback. You played a lot on defense as well. There's a safety. You're a bit of a ball hawk at safety as well. I think I know which way you're preferring, but I want to ask you: do you prefer playing a little safety and getting the INTs, or do you prefer playing quarterback and throwing those dimes, throwing those TD passes? What's your preference?
I'd say for the majority of my career, the answer would be different. I played linebacker in university. Some people don't realize that, but I came up on the defensive side of the ball. I only started throwing because when I was playing with my friends, we needed somebody that could throw, and I guess I had the arm of the group of guys. And when we started playing flag, almost 20 years ago, I just sort of became the de facto quarterback. But for the majority of the time I played, was always a defensive first player. I think my game was really suited for the defensive side of the ball. And then, in the last few years, obviously, I focused more on being a quarterback and realized that the role of the quarterback is actually a little bit more important than I had initially sort of put emphasis on. And I think that's what changed for us as a team when we started winning championships. It really had to do with me focusing more on the offensive side of the ball versus the defensive side of the ball. You bring Kwesi into the equation, he starts calling the D and focusing on stopping their offense. It sort of changed the whole dynamic and gave us a whole other edge on teams.
Okay. I just want to put some context behind what I was talking about. So I was looking at your stats on FEF, obviously.com. You have 139 INTs as a defensive player, 11 touchdowns. So 11 of those 139 INTs you brought back to the house. You got about 4 sacks too. So some of that defensive background you're talking about definitely shining on the field throughout your career. Offensively, I'm looking at it here. So you have combined rushing and throwing touchdowns. Do some quick math here. Actually, Kwesi's usually the mathematician here, so I'm gonna have to break out the calculator here for a second.
What was the question you asked, Brent? Sorry.
I'm gonna say, so I'm talking about in terms of like throwing. I'm looking at his stats right now in terms of throwing and running for touchdowns. So you have over 1,500 combined touchdowns, throwing and running in your career. So let's put a little context right there. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, that doesn't even include that. All those stats don't include the first 4 years I played in the league, where we didn't even keep stats.
I have. Let me see if I have it here. I've got this guy. So I keep my trophies.
Okay, nice.
Okay, this is from 2008. Okay, I don't know if y'all can see that right there.
Okay.
All right, two-way player of the year, but we're playing back in Division 3.
Right.
13 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. I don't think 2008's even on the stats there.
No,
so
actually,
I'm an old G when it comes to all of this. But yeah, Division 3 two-way player of the year back in 2008. Definitely come a long way. I don't even know if I'm allowed to play in Division 3 anymore.
Okay, so
we tried. I wish they would let us. We gotta call Benny out and Jeff and let KGP reunite with the real KGP team, the original KGP team, and put us in Div 3. Let us go compete there.
I think I remember playing against you my first couple years in the league. I remember playing against you, I think in Division 3. Yeah,
we've made the ascent as well.
Good times.
It's been it's everyone's worked hard to sort of maintain their fitness and stay in shape, and as you get older, time catches up with you. But I feel like you go up and then you gotta work even harder to stay there.
Well, that's probably the biggest problem on the rating system, right? Because it doesn't rate you on your age; it rates you on your skills. So it's like we're not getting any younger, so it's like your rating goes up, but it doesn't go down. Well, sometimes it goes down if you talk to the bosses, but most of the time it's like, okay, my rating is 82, but I'm not 23 years old right now. I'm 30 now, so it's like something that has to be done or has to be changed a bit, but I'm sure they're working on it.
How'd you find out about FPF? What made you decide to hop into flag football?
Man, so we started playing the second season ever. So Rob had started the league, and I think there was 4 or 5 teams or something the first year. And somehow a friend of a friend had told us about the league. And one of my good buddies I went to high school with, Nick Shuela, he's a doctor now, but he was the one who originally had heard about the league through one of our buddies. And we registered without having ever really played flag football before. And and we played in the park. You know, we were guys that grew up playing football in the park. We played tackle in high school too, but most of the time, you know, the guys would hang out in the park, throw the ball around, and we heard about the league. It was very, very small at the time. I think there was one division. Maybe the year we started, they added a second division. I can't even remember, but it was really small, and and we loved it from day one. It was just the weekly activity with the boys. We used to go after the game, pick up something to eat, do a little post game, and that just became the weekly routine with the fellas. And here we are, kind of 18, 19 years later, still doing it.
Nice.
So Phil, I have a question for you. So as you're talking about, like, you're probably one of the oldest active players in FPF right now. Are you surprised how big the league has gotten, and do you think it's going to get any bigger than this?
Oh, I'm definitely surprised. I mean, I don't think anybody really saw what the potential was going to be back then. The game was so much fun, but it was so recreational, and it was just something that I think brought people together as a, you know, recreational sports activity. But over time, it started to take a life of its own, especially as they introduced the additional divisions and then women's and co-ed. I can't believe how big everything has gotten, especially from the women's side, where I know it's been played with high school and collegiate athletes for a long time, but FPF has just done an amazing job of making sure that there's a division for every level, for every group. You know, if you want to play with your friends, if you want to play, you know, with strangers, if you want to play with people who are more competitive, less competitive, there's a way for you to be able to feel comfortable and play against people at your level.
Mm. Yeah. So that's as again, I think we're aware that now there's a Division F, right? So they used to have A, B, C, D, E, and now they also introduced a Division F as well. So that's kind of something you're kind of talking about, how there's every single level that you're able to play in.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things they got right early on. You know, the ratings when they introduced them, it was because teams were division dodging, and when there was only a handful of divisions, it became pretty apparent that if you didn't win one, you moved down in the other, and I didn't think that was necessarily right. So they tried to stop that when they brought the ratings in. But now, when you have so many divisions, you really do try to find the one that's the right fit for you, because dodging by one division isn't necessarily going to guarantee you a championship. Back in the day, what happened, and the background behind a lot of that, was that team lost in the finals for Division One, and then moved down to Division Three, went 10-0, and won the championship.
Yep.
And everybody turned around and said, "Okay, we can't let this happen." But the reality is today, you know, teams try not to do that. I don't think teams try to do it as much. You have this gamification that you've created with the ratings, where everyone tries to figure out in the lower divisions, like, how do you get these guys that are like 60 but are really like a 90. Bakari is the best example of that in the most recent history, where he came in and I think he was like a 72 with us, and then he went and won Defensive Player of the Year in Division One. You know, and you've got a guy who's just like, you know, the ratings obviously had, you know, just didn't reflect how good he was, how good he is, and he's still just getting better. But we saw that he subbed for us a couple of years ago for one game, and I literally went to him afterwards. I said, "You're on the team. I got a jersey for you. Like, you're now part of KGP," because we didn't have a lot of cap space, and he was a guy who fit the ratings. So you figure out how to kind of make it work. But now, obviously, the secret's out on him. If it's not, you know, it should be. Don't test that guy.
Definitely. The amount of highlights this he has every single week too is insane.
It's crazy. He's actually a walking highlight reel, and a lot of the highlights you don't even see. You know, they're not every single thing gets captured. I mean, he's this next level. It's really incredible.
I want to ask you. So obviously, again, you're the mastermind behind KGP. You've been KGP. You've been KGP Light. You've been KGP Champs. What does KGP stand for?
So KGP is the park that we all grew up. So I talked about Nick Shuela and you know, the guys that I originally started the team with. So we all grew up playing football or playing in the park at King George Park. So it stands for King George Park, which was, you know, we would message in the group like, hey, let's go play at KGP. And so we registered originally. We didn't have a team name. It's not like we went by anything that, we called ourselves. And so we just called ourselves the KGP champs. Like we were representing KGP, and that was sort of the way that we saw, our positioning in all of this was like, that was the location that we were coming from, and that was the park that we were representing. And then fast forward all of these years, it's sort of taken a life of its own. I think we might be even more well known than the actual park is at this point, because we've been doing this for so long in the community. But it's just the park that we play at. I still go there. I was there last week. I was throwing the ball with Will Seabag, and we were just, we were training a bit at King George Park, and so I still go there, still love it. But it's not as cryptic as some people might think.
Everyone, when people are always asking, they always think it's something Russian.
KGB or whatever. I mean, we never thought about it that way because, when you have an acronym that you use, right, like you don't think about how other people are going to interpret it. To us, it was always just KGP, and that's where we grew up and that's where we threw. And but yeah, it's, it's not one that you can decipher so easily. Sometimes teams have these acronyms that are a little bit easier to understand. EBO, is a great one. They're a great team. Elite Ballers Only, right? It makes sense. But KGP is a little bit more, you really have to know it. If you know, you know.
Okay. You talked earlier, right, about the evolution of FPF and how the league has expanded, obviously, with the women's division, co-ed, so on and so forth, Division F, co-ed 3, women's C. 5-on-5 is something that's still fairly new to FPF. You're in the 5-on-5 league as well. Obviously, you played for a number of years and you continue to as well, right, in 6-on-6. How different are the two, besides obviously one has one more player than the other? How different are the two for you as a quarterback, and which one maybe do you prefer more?
Yeah, I think the two actually can exist without competing with each other too much. And I've talked about this quite a bit. I think that the change in 6-on-6 to 4 downs to midfield is actually something they should revisit, because I think it tries to be too similar to 5v5. But the biggest difference to me is that in 5v5, you can't really dink and dunk the same way as you could in 6v6, right? And in my opinion, you have fewer guys on the field. Obviously, you have less receiving options. The field's more narrow. The game is a whole lot faster. You really have to be able to drive the ball downfield. You have to be able to make 20, 25-yard throws on a dime. In 6v6, it's a little bit less necessary. And I think that that's actually great for some of the less experienced quarterbacks, because it gives them the opportunity to complete more balls. You don't have to be making these really difficult throws. And if you look at the scores in the lower divisions, and the C's, the D's, the E's, the F's, you'll notice that there's a lot more interceptions. It's a lot harder for quarterbacks to move the ball. And I feel like that's okay in 6v6, but in 5v5, if you're not able to step back and throw a 20-yard out on the money, you're just going to have a really hard time, and you're not going to enjoy yourself. And so I feel like the two can coexist. I know that 7-on-7 is the more typical alternative format to 5v5, but that's generally played on a full field. So I think that there's like a happy medium between the two. And so I've enjoyed 5v5. I've been playing a whole lot more. Most of the tournaments I play in, we go down to Tampa. We played in the Ontario circuit or 5v5, because we're trying to get as much experience in the Olympic format as possible. I think that that's really the biggest difference. If you're competing or trying to compete at that level, I think you need to be playing that game and that style. If you're looking to just go out and run around, 6v6, wider field, a little bit more space, I think it's perfect for recreational.
Okay. And which one do you prefer playing right now, since you had a chance now to do both? If you had to choose 5v5 or 6v6, where would you go?
I've spent a lot of time the last year or so focused on 5v5, and I've really adapted my playbook, my play calling, even the way that I take my steps before I throw the ball for 5v5. And the biggest difference, of course, is in 6v6, you can just take off as a quarterback and run. 5v5, you have to either fake a handoff or do a lateral. And so it changes the dynamic a little bit. I subbed for infantry last week and had terrible outing. I feel bad for those guys. We had played a 5v5 game earlier in the day. Had a pretty good game, felt great. Went and played the 66, and like my play design and everything I was built that I had sort of been calling was designed for a 5v5 field, and I was having a little bit more trouble. And so I feel a lot more comfortable in the 5v5 game right now because that's how I've been studying it. That's a lot of the film I've been watching. But 6-on-6 has been the bread and butter for a long time, so I think I've transitioned, and it may be difficult to go back, to be honest.
Okay. Crazy.
So talking about the Olympics and stuff like that, how we're talking about Tampa. Team Canada just announced their national senior team. You actually got the experience to try out for Team Canada. How was your experience doing so?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, the whole thing from A to Z it felt surreal. Having played flag for so long, I never imagined that there would be an actual Football Canada, Team Canada event like what they put on over the last several months. I mean, they ran the ID camps across the country. They selected the final 50 who were invited to the final selection camp. It was a competitive 3 days. It was amazing. It really felt like I was back in university. We were doing, team meetings with insert and film. You're on the field for several hours a day. It was the level of competition was just so high, and I'm just grateful to participate. I felt like I played great. I think a lot of the guys in FPF played amazing. You really see the talent in Quebec is tier one. There are some real ballers in other provinces. I think there's some great players out in Manitoba, from Winnipeg. There's some guys out in Nova Scotia. Some of the guys from BC and Ontario. But the reality is, like, the top players are here in Quebec, and iron sharpens iron, and we're playing against the best every week. And so FPF really, I think, played a huge role in that. And I'm really grateful. I've told Rob this, what he's sort of provided for a lot of us is a unique opportunity. And, I think the folks at Football Canada and the coaches saw what that meant. And they saw that, I was out there competing and playing at the highest level, throwing touchdowns in the red zone over, some of the best DBs that there are, the best that they could put out there. And, you've got our guys going up and making plays. And it was just a great experience from A to Z.
Okay. So with your experience with Team Canada and obviously your experience, almost 20 years now playing FPF, you played with a lot of players, including Kwesi. Are there any players maybe that you haven't had a chance to hook up with yet as a receiver, maybe someone playing defense with you, that you're like, I want to get this guy on my team, I want to try and play a season with him and see what happens?
I mean, for sure, it's actually interesting because the Team Canada experience gave me the chance to play with some of the guys on the Braves who I've never really had the chance to play with. So I had a good time, guys like Will Trottier, who, we played against each other, I don't know how many times over the years, probably 30 or 40 times, if not more. I'm throwing him touchdowns. We're making plays out there. So that was a really cool experience. There wasn't a scoreboard, that we were able to track everything on. But no, that was a lot of fun playing with those guys for sure. I really enjoyed being able to, have a new group of dudes, because my offense, and Kwesi knows this, like, I run a pretty tight script on my offense, and most of the guys know what they're supposed to be doing. When you're given 5 or 4 new receivers and you have to go and run the offense, it can be difficult. But no, it was really fun to get out there with some of those guys. There's always new kids coming up too that are awesome, and you go and look at these guys like Jeremy Murphy, who he's a freak athlete. Haven't had the chance to play with him yet, but he's definitely somebody who I'd love to play against, and I love playing against, and would love to play with. So yeah, I think a lot of these guys, you're rivals until you're on the same team, and next thing you know, you're at war together. And I think that's a cool opportunity that Team Canada has provided for us.
Okay. So we have 2 other questions for you. One is that, so Montreal is hosting the Senior National Championships for flag this year, and you're competing in it. Are you how excited are you for this competition?
Man, so literally just before I jumped on here, I was talking to some of the guys from Winnipeg who are coming out here, and they've got a pretty stacked roster. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play in this tournament. So shout out Peg City. I know they're coming in hot. They're expecting to do big things, but the teams from Quebec, the teams from Montreal are it's a home game for us. We're not going to have to travel. That's always nice. It's going to be one hell of a tournament. It really is. I know in the past it's been a little bit underwhelming in terms of the registration, and the competition hasn't necessarily been representative of like the best talent from across the country. I think this year is going to be really different. I think you're going to see dozens of teams. I think you're going to see really high caliber football being played, and it's really going to show you the best club team in the country. It's going to be, it's really going to be fun to watch this. And, Quasi and I and a lot of us have gone down to Tampa and played in the World Championships down there and seen what that's like. I'm hoping that this is going to replicate a lot of that domestically. And you're going to have that high level of competition, but also really good vibes where everybody's there to win. Everybody wants to have fun, but at the same time, like you recognize the fact that like we're privileged and fortunate to be able to go out there and do something that we love at this level. And, afterwards people are hanging out, you're talking about the plays that you made. And, even the refs down in Tampa, they're chill. They're calling guys out when they drop balls and stuff, like that's what happens at the highest level when everybody's recognizing, recognized game. And I think that's what it's going to be like here in Montreal.
Okay.
It's totally a vibe.
Do you think the Canadian national team should be competing in this tournament?
They can bring it if they want, but I'll tell you what, they can show up with their best 10. We're going to show up with our best 10 and we'll give them the work.
So that's also, so this is actually a question that I actually was talking to a few players, which would it look like, so let's just say the national team, I think they have 14 guys or 12 with two subs, or is it 12 just in total?
There's 4 alternates, but there's 12. I mean, it's a 12-man roster or 12-woman roster for any of these tournaments. So
okay,
you're capped going into it.
So imagine Team Canada, they sign up their team, they have their full 12 guys. Would they look pretty stupid if they don't end up winning this tournament, if they did sign up?
I think they should definitely expect to win.
There's but let's just say they don't. Let's just say they don't win the tournament. Like, would they? Is that like a kind of like a reality check, or like, oh, maybe we don't have the right guys, or maybe we have to go back to the
you gotta ask some questions. If you're not able to, if you're creating the best team, the best athletes from across the country, and you can't beat the top club teams, exactly, there's an issue there for sure. So I can tell you, look, we know the top club teams. We know who these guys are, right? Like, it's going to be hard to beat them. We go down and play the best teams internationally in Tampa every year. We know what the level of competition is internationally. We know KGP can compete with those. I know Braves can compete with those teams. So it'll be interesting to see, what does it look like when, Team Canada, if they do show up, how do they rank against some of us? But I will say that Team Canada team's got athletes, man. They got ballers. They got some guys that, the DBs from the Université Laval, man, these guys don't play. I mean, these guys are dogs.
But it was the question is like, is this something where they kind of want to avoid so they don't have to deal with a situation like that? Like, okay, let's not do this. So if this happens, we don't have to go into, let's just say I think they're going to Panama in a month later, I think September. So like, imagine they lose their national senior championship to, let's just say they lose in semis or the finals. And then they have to be like, okay, well, we can't even beat a club team. What's the motivation going to going into Panama at the Panama Games?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think they have to sort of put their ego aside a little bit in that sense, because in order for the team to gel and do well, they're going to have to get reps. But I'll tell you right now, we've got Keyshawn on our team. He's on the national team as a DB, and he's playing with KGP. So, I don't know if we're going to be losing him if they put a team in, but as of right now, he's on our roster ready to go. So, we plan on showing up with our guys. I don't know if they're going to put their team in, but if they do, I don't think that they should be too concerned whether they lose or don't do well. I do think that getting reps is going to be the most important thing over the next several months. And I think there's probably going to have to be some roster changes that get made as they do get reps and they see, who can compete, who needs to improve, where are their gaps, right? It's an iterative process. I mean, we're trying to win an Olympic gold medal here. This isn't, we're not just playing, Division A FPF and, there's a new season in 3 months, right? The Olympics come around every 4 years. It's the best of the best, it's the best in the world. It's the highest level of competition that can possibly exist. That means that the tough decisions are going to have to be made. And if Team Canada really does want to compete, then they're going to have to get reps. They're going to have to put their best 12 guys on the field. And that's the reality. So if it's up to me, I think they should compete, but I don't want to lose Keyshawn. So there you go.
Okay, so, so let me ask you. I have a little bonus question here. So obviously, again, you got to participate right in the tryouts. So not kicking anyone off the team, but you had a chance, right? You had a chance to see some guys on defense. You had a chance to see some receivers, obviously quarterbacks, so on and so forth. Who's one or two guys that when the roster was announced, you're like, wow, I can't believe that person didn't make it? Who, if you were the GM of the team and you could expand the roster by one or two players, who would you put onto the team?
That's a good question. That's putting me on the spot a little bit here.
100%.
Let me think.
Or let's just say the roster wasn't 12, it was 14. They added 2.
Yeah, so I think what I would do if I was GMing it, I probably would have put a couple of youngins on the team, guys who are like 18 or 19, and give them the chance to maybe not play as much. Like, let's say that you are expanding it to 14, get some of these kids some roster experience because they're going to be there in 2032 and beyond. I don't know if all of these guys are necessarily going to be there in 4 years, right? Like some of us are getting older and, maybe we can play in 2032, but I think beyond that, like you're going to start to see turnover. And so I do think it would be valuable to have some of the younger guys on the team. A lot of the guys are, in their late 20s, early 30s. And, for quarterbacks, it's less of an issue. Like most of the quarterbacks that were there were older. But for some of the younger guys to get experience at receiver or corner, I do think that would make a pretty big difference. There's a couple guys from Nova Scotia, Dylan and Jake. They're both 18, 19 years old, and they're ballers, man. Like these are great athletes, great flag players. Were they the absolute best that were there that week? I don't know. Could they have deserved a roster spot if they got it? Sure. I don't think anyone would have been saying anything. But they're youngins that are going to be the next generation of this sport. So I think that it would have been valuable to add guys like that. So I also think, at the end of the day, you're going to need to make sure that you've got multiple quarterbacks on the roster. And right now they've only got one. So, I think that having a deeper roster gives you the opportunity to have some additional quarterbacks, because when you're playing 7 games in 2 days, guy's arm is going to get pretty tired. And I played in a lot of these tournaments, and whether it's down in Tampa or even when we were in Peterborough a month ago, by the last game, you've thrown 5 or 6 games in a day. Your arms, and I've got pretty good arm stamina. Like your arm's starting to, you're not looking forward to these 40 bombs that you're throwing. And so I do think that having a little bit of depth there would be valuable for them, but I'm not the GM, not the coach, and I think they know what they're doing. But yeah, if it was up to me, throw a couple of youngins in the mix, let them get some experience, even if they're not playing, just to travel with the team and be able to get that experience so that we can win gold in 2028 and then again in 2032.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think they should. I think it's gonna be an experience they're gonna learn on not having one more than one quarterback. That's for sure, and also to get younger athletes as well. Because as you were saying, the guys that are playing now, they're in their late 20s, early 30s. Like they're not. Who knows if they're gonna be even to play for 2028, right, for the Olympics. So if they do get the younger studs that actually do want to play and are actually going to actually get better, I don't see them getting worse. I think they're just going to get better. So if they're able to adapt and get the experience, it would be big. Because again, I don't see there's any reason why Canada should not at least medal in the top 3. We're the one country that's been playing football just in general for so long compared to the U.S. Like I think it's probably U.S. and then France. I think France has a pretty good. They have a good tackle.
We saw them, man. They're good.
Yeah, they have a good.
We played against them down in Tampa. They're good.
Experienced experienced teams, and then like Mexico is kind of like getting a bit better. But other than that, I think like talent wise, Canada is at least top 3 by far. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be medaling in certain tournaments. Like we had the team, the senior team went to Finland. I think they finished 10th or 11th or something like that, and I think that was kind of unacceptable. Losing against some of these countries where talent wise we're way better, we just didn't have the right guys that end up going to that tournament.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, in my mind, this should be a competition between Canada and the U.S. And I know some of the guys on the U.S. national team, and they got dogs. There's no question. We didn't talk about the whole NFLers coming and playing flag, but the learning curve is steep. And some of these guys, man, I was training with Lulu Hernandez down in Miami. I mean, this guy is like, he's next level. He knows the game so well. He plays offense, he plays defense. He's like, you can tell he's built to be a flag athlete, and they've got a whole roster full of these dudes. Women's side too, man. They've got experience. They're no joke, but you know what? There's no reason why Canada can't be there with them. And look, at the end of the day, it comes down to one game, right? It's 40 minutes plus a little stoppage time. Like, we can go out there, we can play with the best of the best. I know we can. I've seen the players we have and what we can do. So I agree, Q. I mean, this has got to be, we got to be going into every single one of these things thinking like, hey, this is us in the U.S. and, it's got to be that mindset. And, give us a shot. Give us a shot.
For sure.
Okay. One final question for me. Obviously, we talked earlier about your longevity, the amount of time you've continued to play here in FPF. What, in your opinion, is the biggest key to your longevity, and how much longer do you see yourself playing?
Oh, man. You got to stay active, right? I'm 36, and I feel like I'm in some of the best shape that I've ever been in. I take my diet, I take my training very seriously. A lot of you guys know that. People that are probably listening and watching know that. But you have to. And I think, as long as you do that, it's a sport that you can play for a really long time, especially at quarterback. But even at other positions as well. Like, you've got guys who are in their late 30s. I mean, I think Pat Jerome is over 40, right? I mean, he's still doing amazing things every time he touches the field. So I think you can play into your 40s for sure. I think as a quarterback, I still got a lot of years left. I'm not worried about it at all. I just need to stay healthy, stay in shape, take good care of myself. And that's what I do, be careful with what you put in your body and, stay active, stretch, all of that. The attention to all of that matters a whole lot more as you get older, because when you're young, you don't think about it. But man, I know, like, for all of us that are, getting up there in age, if you don't take care of your body, it goes downhill fast. But, 5-6 years ago, I was way more sore after a game than I am now.
Right. Okay. All right, man. I just want to say thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your insights. Again, 2022 FPF Hall of Famer, 10-time All-Star, 3-time champ. Rookie season on the website, it says 2009, but we all know it goes back a little further than that.
07.
Yeah, 07. There you go. So 2000. Yeah. So it's been 18 years.
Yeah,
18 years. Pretty impressive, man. Pretty impressive.
Listen, continuously too.
There you go.
I don't know how it works. Like, some of these golf clubs, if you're like a member for like 30 years or something, you get, a lifetime membership or something like that. I think, Jeff, if you're watching this at this point, maybe KGP ought to have some sort of like, special registration or whatnot. But they've made enough. Look, over the years, they've accommodated enough times with schedules and things like that. I shouldn't complain. Right. I appreciate everything that they do. So, but yeah, it's been great. And I love the game. I love the sport. I've been coaching my niece. She's 15. And she's a star. She plays Mavericks, and it's great to just like see the family continue to play the game. And even my daughters who are younger, they come and watch. They were there on Sunday, and my older one, she understands the game enough to know, like, when I score and Dada throws touchdown and all that. So I love it. I think it's a great sport, great game. I've been so proud to participate in it, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And this is it's a great game.
All right. Hey, listen, it's our pleasure, and thank you for joining us, man. Keep on passing on that knowledge and keep on rocking out on the football field and keep having fun and winning games, right? That's what it's all about.
Damn straight.
Thanks,
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
I see.
All right, take care. I see. So now again, that was Phil Cutler. Big thanks to Phil Cutler for coming on, joining us on the podcast here. So Crazy, what do we got left, man?
So we have a bit more to talk about. Again, let's go to Women's C. Kind of just to kind of talk about it a bit. As we said, Women's C is a whole new division that we just inputted. The league that just inputted 4 teams. It's way better. Again, now we have teams. Everyone has a win, right? So as you see, we have 4 teams. Everyone has a win, which is great.
Yep.
It's good to see that there's teams. Everyone's able to compete. There's not one team that's kind of overpowered. As again, I think we kind of both said it again. Cavaliers is probably one teams that are going to be the most experienced because they are a school team, so they do have their practices. They do have I would say a bit more experience. But again, I feel like it's great that there is this Division C, because sometimes when we only had 2 women's division, what would happen is that you have those bottom teams that are kind of starting to get new in the division. They end up playing more experienced teams, and they end up having a horrible time. They're not enjoying themselves, and they don't exactly want to come back. So the fact that we have a Division C now for women's is great. Everyone's able to have a great experience in the league, and they're able to win games and actually have fun playing. So just a shout out for Division C. For what Division C women's that it's new into this league now.
All right, let's hop over to Women's B now quickly. So Women's B, looking at the landscape right now, every team same thing. Every team has a win. Les ETS Sturgeons have a win. Gene Killers 1 win. Chaos veteran team, they had their first win of the season, and then Hebrew, Wolfpack, and Supernova with 2 wins apiece. So parity in Women's C, parity in Women's B. This is what we want to see. That means the quality of football is raising up from everybody, and we can't ask for much more than that.
That's exactly it. And what also is pretty cool, right? There's only 6 teams in the division, but let's just say you took the teams from Division C and put them to Division B. I don't think they would have won any games. So it's to the point where you would have teams that, like Kibu, would maybe instead of being 2-1, they would be 4-0. Wolfpack, instead of being 2-1, they'd be 4-0 because they wouldn't be playing those, like they wouldn't be playing Chaos, or they would play Chaos maybe just once, or some of these teams have to play each other twice, or there's 6 teams. Some of these teams play for each other twice, which is like to a point you're like, oh, I have to play against the same team, but you still get the experience, and at least you're playing versus a quality team that's good enough for you to play against, and it could go either way, So I feel like that's pretty cool how they made the women's division.
Yeah. All right, so let's hop over to Women's A. So there's 7 teams in there. Top 6 make the playoffs. Only team winless right now is the Crocs. Unfortunately for them, those ladies are sitting at 0-3 right now.
Yeah. So to kind of talk about the Crocs, they're going to a situation right now where they don't even have their main roster. I have no clue why they're in Division A. They should be in Division B. Last season they went 10-0, I believe, and ended up losing in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. I think they lost in the first round, the second round, which they had a great season, but I don't think their roster is good enough to be competing in Division A. They didn't have any add-ons. They actually lost. I believe they lost 2 of their players. They lost their Mahi Joel, MJ they call her. She's not playing with them. They did add Emma Townsend, which is a great add. But again, you need to add players. You don't like if they added Emma from the get-go and they kept MJ as well, that would have been huge for them. But that's not something that did happen. They end up. It's like they lost a player and they added a player, but it's not enough. MJ is probably one of the top defenders in women's right now, and the fact that they lost her does not help them moving forward.
Yeah, Mary Joelle Vandel. I've had a chance to watch her the last couple of weeks at Concordia. Like, she has speed, she has length. She might be, and I'm being serious about this, she may be the toughest female I've seen in FPF. And I've seen some tough ladies strap it up in FPF.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I shit you not. She was going for a ball, and we're playing co-ed last year in the winter.
Mhm.
She's going for a ball, and the quarterback kind of like not underthrew, but he kind of put it to a place where I was playing safety on the top, and I was coming down. And it's fast, and the game's fast, and I came down on the ball, and I kind of like hit her, but like the contact was pretty there. They did call it. I didn't complain because like it was a call, but she kind of just got up and she didn't say anything. She was like, oh, good play, whatever, and she got back to the thing. She was perfectly fine. I was just like, okay, yeah, she's a baller. Actually, I also got to play with her on the All Stars, not the previous one, the one before that,
Okay.
and she knows what she's doing, and she's having fun doing it, and she's aggressive, So I completely agree with you were saying there.
Yeah, 100%, man. I saw her in week 1, and she got elbowed in the nose, and she got up, she grabbed the nose. I think it wasn't broken or anything. I think she wanted to check. She kind of wiggled her nose a little bit, or checked her nose. She kept on playing. There was no blood or anything, but it was a hard shot. Like it was a fluke accident. Someone caught a ball and turned around. Vandal was the defender, so she got like an arm or an elbow right in the nose, like right in the bridge of the nose too, right? And you figure, okay, you'd be out for a play or two. Nah, she kept on going. I've seen her play a lot of times, like diving for tackles, getting turf burns everywhere. I'll take her on my team any day of the week. She is a baller, 100%.
Yeah, no, huge baller. To kind of go back to it, like, so we actually have a new team, right? We're trying to talk about it a bit. Ice Cold. I feel like I like them. To be honest with you, they're a good team right now. They're middle of the pack. They lost the games I thought they're going to lose, and they won the games I thought they're going to win. But again, they just played Cayenne. They played a pretty good game versus Cayenne, and they actually ended up being Blue Pond, which pretty much is it's like a substitute of a UCAN team. So they had two big wins there. Cayenne, they almost got the W there. Cayenne didn't have their main quarterback, but the fact that they're competing against all these teams as a new team, they have stud athletes from top to bottom. They do have a big roster. You could see it, but again, a lot of women's teams, you do have the 12, 13 players. You're trying to start something. So I feel like this is kind of a team where they kind of grabbed a couple girls together and they kind of realized like, okay, well, so you have Sub-Zero, you have Monarchs, you have Blue Pond, you have all these club teams. Maybe we should do kind of something for ourselves, so we kind of get away from the school and we kind of get the tournaments and we kind of do our own thing. So I think that's something that they're kind of there's something that they're trying to build. And again, when you have this many athletes just in Quebec wise, you're able to do it, and you kind of can see how they're performing now, and you kind of can see what they're trying to do.
No, 100%. Listen, I saw them in week 1. I score kept their game. Yeah, you were there as well in that snowstorm / rainstorm, June 1st there against Sub-Zero, the Ice Cold Sub-Zero matchup we talked about a couple days after that. I like a lot of the players on the team. A lot of those ladies can ball. Like Anouk Benalil's on the team. I know they had Lara Azuka. I'm not sure she's on the team full time, but she's played 2 games with them. Leah Bigra.
Yeah, Lara's with them. She's just right now she's on vacation, so she's kind of
okay. Well, she's an impact player, right? Both sides of the ball. Leticia and Gallo. Chloe Simard. So I remember Chloe Simard used to play for the Champlain team. She went to Champlain College. She played for the Champlain team. And I've seen her on this team now, a couple years older, faster, stronger. She's a huge playmaker on this team. And one player we talked about before we went to air, Ashley Longain. So Longin, Longain, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm Anglophone. For me, it's Longain, but she told me I think it's Longain. A rookie. This girl, I think she's maybe 5'3", 5'4" at the most, but she is like a ball of speed on the field.
Yeah, she's fast.
And she's tough. She'll make contested catches over the middle. She'll burn you deep. She plays some defense too. She's solid. I like this team Ice Cold a lot.
Yeah, no, she's Ashley's definitely someone we're gonna talk about, and a lot of people are gonna start knowing her name.
Definitely.
All right, so let's go co-ed 3.
Okay.
Let's jump to co-ed 3. Something else to talk about, right? We were kind of talking about the ice storm and how bad the weather was 2 weeks ago. We kind of had a vote going, right? To with the community, we have a new segment, kind of questions of the week that we asked you guys. So one of the questions where you guys prefer playing outdoors or you guys play indoors? And I believe it was kind of like a 50-50. But one thing I do have to say, just for my input, I love to play outdoors, but when the weather is that bad, there's no way I would want to play in that type of weather.
Nope.
So that's kind of my opinion. I feel like a lot of people are kind of the same way, but also I was surprised too. Also, some of the players and some of the people that did vote for indoors, I was kind of surprised that they voted for indoors. I figured they would rather play outdoors, but everyone's different and everyone likes a certain way how they play. Like for
Yeah,
you, do you play like?
yeah,
Do you like playing?
I prefer indoors, honestly. I remember I had a conversation with Ben McMahon, obviously the commissioner and obviously the player. Everyone knows Ben. A couple of the guys were sitting around talking, and some ladies as well. And Ben and I were both like indoors. I like I love fresh air. Like I'm playing in Laval tomorrow night. I'm looking at my phone right now. It's saying tomorrow night my game's at 8. It's supposed to be 16 degrees and sunny. Hopefully that's what the case may be, because we all know that sometimes the forecast changes right in the drop of a dime. It can say sunny, and then it can be raining tomorrow. It could be windy as heck. And I find I should maybe ask Phil about this. As a quarterback throwing the ball, if you have a strong arm, the wind's not going to do that much to it. But if you're one of those quarterbacks that don't have the strongest arm, and even as you know as well, right? As a receiver, sometimes when the ball comes in, the wind kind of takes it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go for those deep shots, the post, the corners, the go routes. The wind sometimes carries it a little further. I like playing indoors because you don't have to worry about that. If the grass was wet, I was doing some running yesterday on one of the fields. I was just around my house. I was just running some routes and that. And like the grass was wet, right? Because it had rained earlier in the day. You don't have to worry about that indoors. Indoors, you're fine and you're all right.
No, I get it. It's just, it's the same thing here, right? Like indoors, there's no problems. There's no issues. The worst possible thing probably happens is you run into a goalpost.
Yeah, or the power goes out. Yeah,
that's probably the worst. Probably like if it's gonna be a situation like that, then So if it's gonna be a situation like that, I think it's the run into a goalpost. But when it comes outdoors, there's so much things you have to kind of look at, weather-wise, grass-wise, the field-wise, just stuff like that. Yeah. But I just feel like it's a vibe when you get to play outdoors. I also think it brings me back playing tackle football, the Friday Night Lights, Saturday Night Lights. I think it kind of brings me back into that kind of domain where that's the reason why I enjoy it. But when it's raining, I do not enjoy it.
Like, not at all. It's horrible. No, so I feel you 100%. Like I remember talking to Jeff ahead of this season. He was saying, one of the things he wanted to get with the Friday games is Friday Night Lights. I being a guy who grew up playing tackle too, I appreciate that 100%. I love that. Although I find to really get that essence, you got to play on a grass field for it to be Friday Night Lights. But that's just my opinion. Outside is great. The fresh air is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I just prefer indoors just because you never know, right? Sorry, Ali Reza in our ear. What were the numbers again to the poll?
55-45.
In favor? Okay, so 55 to 45 in favor of playing outdoors. So that's pretty impressive. Thank you everyone that came out to vote. It's pretty impressive.
So to kind of get back into Co-Ed 3, what we were talking about. So we have some new teams, Route Runners, Wolfpack. I believe Wolfpack combined their women's team, their men, and I think they got some of their guy players. In the thing, we have Vultures that are back, tight ends that came back, Dream Killers, Kiss My A's. Again, I kind of talked about Kiss My A's, saying I would never vote for them again. They're 3-1, so shout out to them. They're doing a great job. But again, it comes down to the finals at the end of the day. So we'll see how that goes. Ghosted also as well as a team that they've played co-ed before, but we have some new teams. I also like the fact that there's 17 teams, but 5 teams don't make it. I'm a type of person where I think the older I get, it's the more I kind of care about, because I'm kind of like, it's to the point where if there's no like reward on going, because I'm someone, I don't miss a lot of games, but if you're telling me we're 14 teams in the division and everyone makes the team, it's the point where, like, if it's raining outside, like, do I really want to go to Laval and play this game where it doesn't really matter as much? Or do I just kind of say, okay, I'm not going to go next week. It's going to be nicer. The vibe's going to be better, and I'll just go next week, to compare to a point where, okay, guys, we're 14 teams in the division, but we're 1-3, and like, it's the season's cutting down, where we kind of need a win, where I kind of, okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to come play. So the fact that there's 5 teams that don't make it, I feel like it kind of also puts pressure on some players to actually show up and come. Sometimes it comes to a situation where you can't actually come to the game, but I feel like it puts a bit of pressure on some of these teams and some of these players where they actually have to show up and play.
100%. I remember we talked about this a bit in the winter season. Nah, for sure. I mean, listen, every you're paying, you may as well come and play. I mean, yeah, obviously, if everyone gets in, that takes some of the importance out of the regular season. But again, seeding matters and all that, and chemistry and all that. So you should come to all your games and play and do what you got to do.
For sure. Let's go to Division Quad 2. So one thing, the Quad 2 is very interesting. I'm surprised Party Mix is 0-4. Party Mix they were in Quad 1 last year. They struggled. They didn't have a consistent roster. And this year, I'm not exactly sure how good their roster is, but they're 0-4. So they're definitely going to have to fix something up. But in Quad 2, everyone makes playoffs.
Yeah.
So the playoff breakdown, 12 teams qualify for playoffs, 1 to 4 gets bye. So if you finish top 4, you do get the bye. But at the end of the day, like Party Mix is a veteran team. I've seen their roster. They do have a lot of players that are coming back. I think their biggest issue is the quarterback situation, but it comes down to it. Like when if you end up playing them in the playoffs, it's not going to be an easy win for you to get. So that's like something I was kind of talking about when there's no pressure on like coming to games or like competing to a point because everyone does make playoffs. You do get that benefit of making it to the top four. Top four who get a bye, so you get to kind of enjoy yourself. But that's something that I don't like as much, but it is what it is. I also like the fact that anything is 2-1, so they're not going to have a perfect season. Last year they finished 9-1, so just goes to show off the bat. It goes to show off the bat that they're not going to have a perfect season. I feel like they're more balanced here compared to last year when they were in Division. They were in Quad 3 last year, so they made the jump. They're Quad 2, and they're playing versus way more better talent.
Okay, no, I hear you. I mean, listen, Party Mix again, like you're right. Still a veteran squad. It is a bit surprising that they've got off to such a slow start. Again, they did struggle last year as well, so maybe it's not as surprising as we think it is. Double Dip, I know we talked about them. I think before we went the air, 3-1 right now. Their team is looking pretty good. I've had a chance to watch anything. I've done a Shark Attack game of Jean Lee, Alexi. Running around pretty much playing quarterback, throwing to his brother Jordan Alexi as well. That combo, they fell short. They were taking on anything actually last Friday in Laval. James Drysdale had a monster game matchup between two heavyweights. Back that pass up the Zoomies, had a chance to watch a couple of their games as well. This division, again, all 12 teams made the playoffs, as you said. But again, that seeding matters, right? So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see who finishes where, because I think this is a division stuffed with a lot of good teams. Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting. I'm very excited to see who's gonna come down to it at the end of the day. It's nice to see that anything actually added James Drysdale on their team as well. I wonder if it's gonna be a consistent thing. He's played one game with them so far, so.
Yeah, he's a little banged up right now. But he's supposed to be on the men, so I mean, we'll see what happens if.
Okay, that's nice. Nice to see. So let's go to Quad 1.
Yeah, again, all 6 teams make the playoffs. There, no pads, no helmets, just balls. The only winless team sitting at 0-3 right now. You have the Merge at 3-0 and Let Go My Flag at 3-0 as well. It's gonna be interesting to see how this falls. I think the Merge are head and shoulders the best team in this division. Will it be a race maybe for that 2 to 6 spot the rest of the way? We'll have to find out.
Yeah. Also, no pads, no helmets right now. They're missing Francis Cachelot. He was kind of banged up after the Team Canada tryouts. So supposedly last week he came back on Saturday. He actually came. I think it's Division C game or Division B game.
Sunday he came. Yeah, he came.
Yeah, he came at halftime. So. Yeah. I definitely did not help his team, but he said he's feeling a bit better. So hopefully his attendance coming to help his Quad team does change it a bit, and they end up getting their first win of the season.
Yeah, I remember watching. So I was scorekeeping the game. He came. It was for. I don't remember who it was for. Yeah. I think it was no pads, no helmets. It was weird. I don't think he had a pass thrown his way. In that game, and he literally was running from his car to make it there during halftime, because he didn't come just before halftime. He came when halftime was going on.
Yeah, but it wasn't though. It was for his Division B. It was for Les Fudlebergs, I believe it was. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that was the team that he played on Sunday. Where he showed up at halftime. But again, he's a crazy, amazing. He's an amazing player. So definitely, they're definitely gonna want him back. It seems like he's a bit more healthier. Looking at their next game, just to kind of get out the way. They're playing the IG team they've been struggling. They're 1-3, which is kind of surprising. They're a bit surprising. So hopefully, they're able to get their first win, and we'll have a non-winless team in this division. That'd be pretty cool to see. It's also, as I keep on, I mention it a lot. It's not fun to have Owen. It's not fun to have no wins during the season. So to get the first one out the way, it's a great thing to see. So that's pretty much wraps up for co-ed. We're gonna jump into, we did women's. The women's one A, B, and C. We did co-ed 1, 2, and 3. So we're gonna go to men. We'll go intermit for men. So we have 7 teams. I believe last year we had 7 as well. We still have we have some new teams. We have the Giants they're a new team. Montreal Mavericks are not a new team. They're kind of mixed with the U18 U16 team they had, so they kind of jumped into the mix. Ambush is the defending winter champs, I believe. They won the winter. Was it winter? I think it was winter. Back in Laval, they won the championship there, so they're back into the mix. Still CCRA, I think it's new. They're more a 6v6 team. I think they're starting to get into the five. They're getting back into the 5v5 scene with the quarterback Ryan. He's getting used to the 5v5 system, so it's good to see. It's good to see that he's kind of stepping up and he's doing the 5v5. They're doing pretty well too. 3-1, which is usually beat. So hopefully they finish the season strong, and he's able to put up the numbers. So that's pretty much for division for intimate for 5v5. So I'm gonna jump into competitive now.
I'm back. You can hear me?
I can hear you, Brent.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sorry about that. Kind of dropped the microphone. My apologies. I'm gonna keep it handheld the rest of the time. Yes. Okay. So you did intermediate. So now, yeah, you're doing competitive right now for 5v5.
Yeah. So I'm in 5v5. So coming with 5v5, you have Raw Dogs, top dogs right now. They're 4-1. Flag Moth 3-0, MTL Magic 3-0, KGP 2-1, Braves 2-0, and then you have 4 teams with non-list wins, which is kind of crazy to see. You have Northgard 0-3, ECW 0-3, Party Crash 0-3, Soonish 0-3. Brent, question for you: out of those 4 teams, I didn't see who's playing who. Just don't look to see the schedule.
Okay, that's about it.
Who's gonna win? Who's gonna have the first win?
Oh yeah, first W. All right, Party Crashers.
Party Crashers. Okay, so let's kind of
Party Crashers.
Party Crashers next game is against Easy W on June 7th. So that's coming up. That's next. So next one team. Tuesday, you are right. You are right. One team's gonna have to, unless they tie. Hopefully that's up to stage. Right. But one team's gonna be non-winless. So one team's gonna have a win after that game.
Yeah.
So are you surprised to see Raw Dogs 4-1 right now?
No, I mean I did their game last night. They knocked off No Regard. That game was kind of close for a while, and then Raw Dogs started to pull away. No Regard actually they had a chance to really they made it, I think, about a 4 or 5 point game at one point. They couldn't get the onside after scoring a touchdown, and the game kind of fell apart a little bit after that. But on Raw Dogs, I think top to bottom they had the most talents out of all the teams in its division. But okay, actually, no, I see the Braves actually probably have the most talent, but Raw Dogs, yeah, really veteran squad. Jeff did a good job of putting together his team. I think they're really deep, and I think they'll be in it to the end, or at least the semifinals, at least. I'm surprised with the Party Crashers being 0-3, to be honest with you, as well as ECW. I thought ECW, again, 6-on-6, they were phenomenal. They're Division 2 champs. Obviously, a little bit different in 5v5. I just thought they would have a bit better of a record by at this point, but again, it's only 0-3. It's not 0-5, 0-6.
Yeah. So one thing to kind of look at that, right? ECW quarterback's Jeremy White. A
Yep.
lot of people know
Yep.
him.
Yep. Yep. QB of the year.
He's a mobile quarterback, right? So I played against him last. I played against him last week on Saturday or Sunday, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
at Loyola. He broke. We have a pretty good rusher as Ethan.
Yeah.
He broke Ethan a couple of times, and he wasn't able to run. It's to the point where he beats
Right.
the rusher,
Right.
and then he's still kind of looking upfield trying to make that pass. Usually, what happens is that when he beats the rusher, he starts using his legs, but he doesn't have the benefit of doing that. So they might have to try
That's
to
it.
maybe play calling, have maybe like a quarterback motion or someone to kind of hand the ball back to him after getting the snap. Snap to someone else, then throw it to him so he's able to use his legs, and he's more as a mobile quarterback and he's able to run because. In 5v5, there's no rule on running back-to-back plays. You can run every
Yeah.
single play if you want. You just have to get a first down midfield. So I think that's something they're gonna have to try to put in their play calling to kind of be able to use Jeremy's mobile legs more, so they
Well,
feel
that,
more comfortable for their offense.
well, that's it. And I was going to ask you, like, how surprised are you that, especially a veteran team and a veteran quarterback like that, right? Jeremy White, the reigning quarterback of the year last year in Division Two. How surprised you that they haven't decided to do that already? Like, have someone take the direct snap and then lateral back to him so he can run right away. Because again, like you said, he's at his best when he's able to use his feet and his arm together.
Yeah, so I'm not that surprised. Again, it 5v5. It's not easy. It's not for every team, right? It takes time to adapt, and that's kind of what Phil was kind of saying. Like it's not
Right.
when you get used to it, you're dialed in and you understand. But it's their first year doing 5v5. I'm sure they've kind of watched it a bit and kind of seen, but it's different from watching it and actually performing in it. So I think they kind of just have to go back into the drawing board. This is the reason why we have divisions like this because you learn by experience, right? And you get to play against the best talent. So that also helps a lot. So I think they just have to go back to the drawing board and they kind of just have to kind of look at more plays and kind of maybe again look at some plays on YouTube, look at some plays on Google and stuff like that. There's so much opportunity. There's so many things where you can look at and kind of like bring those plays slowly one game by the time and see what works and see what doesn't work.
All right, all right. Okay, so that's all the divisions. Let's hop in quickly before we go. So I had called this segment last week, the first and goal. Let's switch it up. Let's just call it four downs. I think it makes more sense. I little segment. We have four things. Quasi takes two. I take two. We talk about it. So first down, I'm gonna go with uh the so asking you guys all these questions right on Facebook. Let's say I created some polls on Facebook. Ali Rez and Quasi did some polls on IG. Again, thank you to everyone that came out to vote because there's a lot of you guys we see by the numbers that've come out to vote. And again, we want your feedback on everything that we're asking you guys. So we already covered the indoor outdoor debate. One of the ones we also asked was about intentional grounding. Now, intentional grounding is a rule we have in 6v6, right? The quarterback realizes he can't make a throw, or sometimes if it's a girl playing in the men's 5v5 6v6, sorry, pardon me, they'll throw it to the ground just like in the pros, right? Intentional grounding. In the women's divisions and in 5v5 and obviously FPF junior, you're allowed to throw it to the ground even though the ball doesn't pass the line of scrimmage. You're allowed to throw it at the feet of the rusher. There's no intentional grounding call. So of course the question we asked last week was, should we eliminate the no intentional grounding calls in 5v5 in women's? And I could tell you from the Facebook poll, I'm looking at the numbers. I actually have it right here in front of me. So from the Facebook poll, we'll give you the IG in a second. A lot of you said no. We should leave it as is. They should not get rid of the no intentional grounding rule. I'm gonna look at the votes right now. So 28 votes. 52% of the voters said no. They should kind of leave it how it is. Don't get rid of the no intentional grounding rule for women's in 5v5. And looking
Yeah.
at looking at the
So
yes votes, 43% said yes.
yeah, so I have the results for the Instagram.
Okay.
You have it's 61 to 39. 61% says yes, 39 says no, and you have 119 votes that voted yes, and you have 76 votes that voted no. Kind of a switch on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. There was one option. So referee Stephen Donald, veteran in this league, a good dude. He said they should keep it, but the pass has to go past the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
So yeah, which actually I think that's fair because obviously in the pros, right, in the NFL, CFL, if you're throwing the ball away, one of the conditions of not being called for intentional grounding is you have to be outside of the tackle box. Obviously, that doesn't apply to flag, although you could have an imaginary tackle box. But the ball also has to go past the line of scrimmage. Now, I'm willing to meet
Yeah.
people halfway. I think that actually should be the case. The ball has to be thrown past the line of scrimmage to avoid the
But
penalty.
that also makes the ref's job so much harder in certain situations. Let's say quarterback's
Right.
rolling and he throws the ball outside, like out of bounds. It's like when did the ball get out of bounds from where? Or if it lands, like there's a lot of close calls where
Right.
we're gonna have a lot of
True.
teams that are kind of complaining compared to a point where if I throw the ball on the floor and there's no intentional grounding, like the ball's thrown. The only thing you have to worry about is that you don't get sacked. So it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand, yeah, the line of scrimmage situation, but you're gonna put some refs in some weird situation where at the end of the day they could avoid it all.
True, I hear you. Although for most of the higher division games, right, especially like a lot of the refs are like already youth sports refs, college
Yeah.
refs, even some CFL refs. I mean, I don't think that I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think the place to be put in is too foreign, too
No,
unfamiliar
not
to them.
exactly. But I just think some situations where it's gonna point where you're not people complain, it's gonna be like, oh, why don't we just keep it like this? Like everyone not like you can't what's the saying? You can't
Can't make everyone happy.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, it's true. That
Mm,
is very true. That is very true.
I
And
completely understand what you mean.
okay, what do you have for second down?
So for second down, well, again, we had the question of the week. As we said, we were saying it. Is it hard to play offense or it's hard to play defense? So looking at the results, we had. Just gonna pop it up here. We actually had a lot of votes, which is pretty cool to see. We had 283 votes that said defense, 32 votes that said offense. So we had over 320 people that voted, which is pretty cool to see.
Nice.
Big number, and a lot of people agreed that defense is harder to play than offense, and I 100% agree with them. I'm an offensive guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I've played offense a lot of my life, but now I'm a defensive guy, and defense is not a joke. It's to a point where if you screw up on offense, it's not as bad, But when you screw up on defense, it shows that you screw up. If you can't compete with a player, or you can't, if you're not faster than them or not are more physical than them, it shows off the bat. If you can't guard a receiver, it shows you can't guard the receiver. Compared to when you're playing compare if you're playing on offense, if the DB in front of you is better than you, you can still get away from him. You can still make those
Yeah.
catches. It's
Yeah.
all on your quarterback. Defensive wise, if your team calls man to man and that receiver is better than you, he's gonna beat you 9 out of 10 times, and it's gonna show. And it's I'm like, oh well. And even if you guys are, if you're, it's to a point where even if you guys are 50-50, if you take two guys, I think if you take two players, if you clone two players, so let's just say I clone myself, I'm gonna lose that defensive battle 10 out of 7 out of 10 times. So offensive wise, I'm gonna lose as a defender. That makes sense. I'm gonna lose as
Okay.
like defensive wise.
Okay. No, listen, I've played a little bit of defense in flag the last couple of years. Like purposely, I wanted to learn how to play better defense, and like I can tell you, 100% is much harder to play defense, especially in flag, right? One question I want to ask you again. We both come from a tackle football background. Do you think it's harder to play defense in tackle football, or it's harder to play offense in tackle?
Um, so it's more the fact that if you're a player that if you're not scared to hit, if you're not scared to hit, you're fine on defense because you'll be plugged into certain plot. They won't pitch you as a corner. They'll pitch you as a halfback or a linebacker. They'll fill the gap in, go make a hit. It's the players that don't like to hit.
Right.
If you're playing offense, it's like kind of if you're a player that like if you know how to hit, you'll be fine. It's not going to be difficult for you. But if you don't know how to hit, it's going to be very difficult for you. But as an offensive player, it's like there's not much that's easier to do. If you're a running back, run straight. If you're a receiver, run
Right.
straight. It's easier method. So I would say it's easier to play offense than it is to play defense.
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting. I'm actually going to go the other way. So I agree with you saying, obviously, if you don't like to hit, you shouldn't be on defense. You shouldn't be playing football, period. But especially, you shouldn't be on defense. I think it's also, especially from coaching kids, like there's people who are afraid to get hit too, right? I remember when I was like, I got into tackle football, I think I was like 10 or 11, and I just love hitting. I was like, I could hit people and I get away with it and not get in trouble. Sign me up. But I remember playing with some other people who were kind of afraid to get hit and to hit. I think playing like I played at Concordia just like you, right? Like, I've played even my junior career. I played both sides of the ball. I prefer playing defense because again, you get to hit people and it's just more fun. I find though, playbook wise, I know when I got to Con U, we got a defensive playbook. It was about 25, 30 pages. It was thick, but not huge. I started at training camp playing fullback at Concordia, and that playbook was gigantic. And same thing when I played junior ball, it was gigantic. The offensive playbook. I personally think, listen, if you have a skill set, if you're fast and you're long, or you're fast and you're strong, you could be put at the edge. You could rush the passer. You're a bigger guy. You could play. You could play the one tech. You could play the three tech. You could rush up the middle. You could play a middle linebacker. Anything that moves, you hit it. I found personally from playing both sides of the ball and tackle that offense is a little harder than defense.
Okay, yeah, I agree. But the one thing I do have to say, offense, is when you're in that play when you're in that tunnel, and the quarterback is saying all this cadence.
Yeah, it's a lot of
going,
verbiage.
hey guys, we're gonna go blue. Let's just say we're going Bumblebee 45, Cracker Pack, whatever. Like there's so many cadences are there.
So
You're
much.
you're like listening. You're like, well, I know my cadences are there at the end, the middle. The thing.
Right,
We just
right,
listen.
yeah.
Sometimes I've gotten caught, and I'm just like, and then the quarterback looks at me. He's like, literally, the last thing I say, it's you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to. He's like, no, listen. The last thing I say,
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
don't think about this guy. Like you have the last thing. You O-line last thing. It's easier saying. We go. Lucy means we're going left side, and then it's turbo
Yeah.
run. It's you. Turbo run is you. Like you're going on left side run. And I'm like here trying to understand what Scooby means and cross and like that. And just like, so that's one thing I do have to say. It is harder compared to defense where it's very easy. Saying a coverage and stuff like that. It's not
100%. It's literally defense is like black 22. It's let's say for like I played a bit of nose tackle, right? So let's say it's one defensive coordinator would literally on the sideline he'd be flexing. If it was like a strong side, he'd be like flexing and doing this. So strong side twist or doing a lower flex and twisting. So it'd be the weak side twist, right? Weak side of the field, strong side of the field, obviously. And it'd be like, I don't know, like cover two. So it'd be like, I don't know, X-ray 12, 22. So then the last number's the cover two, and then everyone's doing what else they have to do. Like it's super simple.
Easier to understand, especially when you get used to it. It's very
exactly. Okay.
Question 3 for you. I mean, third down right now.
Yes, third down. So I got okay. I'll hit the last two because I know I kind of popped this on you just before we went there. So one thing I've noticed, and listen, from playing tackle, but specifically here in FEF, the conversations between like the players and the refs. Listen, it is what it is. There's some players who are hotheads in this league, and there's some refs too that are a bit of not so much hotheads, but people with a short fuse, right? We're all people. You all try to treat you all a lesson in life, right? You want to treat people how you want to be treated, right? I mean that's for any stage of life, whether you're playing football or not. And sometimes, heat in the moment, you might mouth off to an official, or the official might come at you in a way that you think is a little too aggressive, and vice versa, right? We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Referees are going to miss calls. Just say players are going to drop balls and blow coverages or miss throws, right? It is what it is. Just like a reminder, just like when you go to talk to people, and this is for both sides. I'm not just trying to side with the refs, and I'm not just siding with the players. When this is for both sides, try to be calm. Try to relax. You go up to somebody. If they miss a call, fine. It's gonna happen, right? Explain what you think happened, not aggressively, because that's not gonna help anybody. And if you're the ref talking to the players, right, you want to obviously de-escalate the situation. Sometimes the players come in a little hot. Instead of barking at each other, let's just kind of find a way to just talk to each other respectfully and not like have it go from 0 to like 1,000 because of one thing was said. Obviously, there's someone saying you're an idiot, you're stupid, whatever. That's totally different, right? That's an outlier. But just talking to people, having a bit of respect. I was in Bassar as you were last night. There was a player. I'm not going to mention who she was. She missed the pass and over her head. It happens. It was a high throw a couple of occasions. And the ball bounced, I think, maybe 10 to 12 yards away from her. And then she looked at the referees. Oh, yeah, can you go get the ball? And the referee looked at her like, why can't you get it? Like, it's on the other field, A, and B, it's your ball. It happened another time later in the game, and the same player looked over at Mo and that same referee, le ballon. And I was like, whoa, like, who are you talking to? Like, there's a way to talk to people. And again, if you don't catch the ball, whether it's your fault or not, it's on you as the last receiver or the person the ball is intended to go for or to go to go get your own ball. Like we try to do as scorekeepers, we try to do people a solid. As fans watching, we try to do a solid. The referees would try to do you a solid and toss the ball. But if you're looking at us like it's our job to go get you your ball, that's not gonna work.
No, it's definitely not.
So maybe some other leagues you played in that works, but not in FPF. I can tell you that. Again, I'm not gonna call out the player who she was, but just an observation I made a couple of times last night.
One thing I do have to say is, and maybe I'll get some hate on some refs, but I literally hate it when a ref says 100%. There's a couple refs that I've been playing, and they kind of look at a call and they're like, no, 100%. And it's to a point where we have the recording where, let's just say the call was completely the opposite. I'm like, how do you literally go look right into my eyes and say 100%? I'm just like, okay, it's not that serious. You can say I'm certain on my call, but don't say 100% right in my face.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. 100%. There you go. That's right. That's absolutely right. Again, like heat in the moment. Sometimes stuff happens, and people. I find pride kind of gets in the way in a lot of things in life, right? Some people are like, oh, I'm just gonna stand my ground, and I could be wrong, but I'm not gonna admit it here. That's not the place for that either, right? Like if you're wrong, you're wrong. Yeah. Chances are, if you're a player, right, or you're a referee, if you miss a call and you just tell the player, hey, my bad, I missed it. And I've heard a lot of referees, to their credit, do that. It's cool. The players are like, all right, cool. The same thing for the players. Listen, they go up to the ref, hey, listen, I was wrong on the last play. That's on me. The referees, all right, cool. Let's move on and move forward. That's kind of how it should be. Again, people have short fuses.
Yeah, everyone get over themselves. We're all here for a good time, at the end of the day. One thing also look at is that when you play international, like so when Phil was kind of talking about when he was there, we're going to Tampa, you give the ball to the ref and they place it for you, which is pretty cool. You know how we usually take the ball and we bring it to the huddle? Like,
yeah.
I remember I was there and I have the ball, and the ref's like, the ball, and I'm just like, what do you want the ball for? And he's like, give me the ball. Like, you literally catch it and you throw it to the ref. It's kind of like,
okay, that's cool.
Kind of like, what's it called?
It's like in the pros, right? Like you make a catch. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. I thought that's pretty cool, but not saying like here, fetch the ball, like that type of.
Yeah.
But I find that was something a bit different.
Okay. And so the last poll we had, the last poll we're going to talk about for me, this is fourth down, is the Sarah Parker debate. So we had Sarah Parker come on the show last week. Again, big shout out to Sarah for coming on. So I posed a question on Facebook, and we did it as well on IG, right? And I said, so okay, after Sarah Parker, who are the top 3 quarterbacks, female quarterbacks, pardon me, in FPF? And so I'll tell you the results right now from the voting. So Sandrine Gobert-Hewitt of Cayenne came in second, rightfully so. We have Ashley, hold on here. Let me just make sure. 43. Sorry, the poll is closed now. We have. Okay, so no, I'm wrong, Ashley. My apologies. So actually, Molakas came in second place. So my bad. Molakas came in second. Came in, I guess, first, you could say. Sandrine Gobert-Hewitt came in third. Sorry. Molakas came in first behind Sarah Parker. Sandrine Gobert-Hewitt came in second. And coming in third was Emmanuel Bronsard. So those are the top 3 choices. So that's all fine and dandy. They're all great quarterbacks in their own right, 100%. I can't disagree with anybody on that list. I truth be told, I picked Molakas. But one thing though, so I got a lot of messages to my personal messenger account. And it was, people were like, Sarah Parker's number 1, really? And I don't know. For me, again, not just because we had her on the show last week. Like, again, I just met Sarah just a couple weeks ago. If I hadn't met her, I still would have thought, again, I've called enough games. I've seen enough games where I think Sarah Parker, she leads all females in touchdowns. She leads all females in championships, and she leads all females in passing yards. For me, that cements you as the GOAT in FPF. Now, some people were shooting me stuff. International tournaments, Sandrine has more W's, different other tournaments than that. Yeah, and we were talking about that. Yeah.
We said FPF. That was the main. I was about to say. Sorry to cut you off. That's the main source we're saying. We're saying FPF. Right now, Sarah Parker leads pretty much every category for women's in FPF. She's her team is the team to beat. She has the most championships. She has the most rewards for, especially for a quarterback reward. So right now, she's the girl to beat for in the FPF system.
Mm-hmm.
It's to the point where I don't remember. As again, they won the last 2 years. They won Sub-Zero has won the championship, but it's Sub-Zero right now, and that's her team that she has. They've won the most championships in the women's division.
No, 100%. And again, listen, I know provincial university championships, collegiate Canadian national championships, senior Canada, USA flag championships. Sandrine does have more than Sarah. So props to her again. Sandrine, phenomenal quarterback. And I've caught a couple of her games. I've seen a lot of her games, obviously, for Cayenne. Like, she's a great quarterback. I'm not taking anything away from her. Again, this question on IG and Facebook was just talking FPF.
Mhm.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Ali Rich is talking about the Michael Jordan, LeBron James vote, and it's funny because you know what? I'll be honest with you. I was getting messages about that today, and there was a guy. I don't want to call anybody out here, but he was telling me. Well, he was then comparing it to. He's like, well, I guess then Tom Brady. I think he was saying was not the GOAT then. If you're going by touchdown passes and you're going by a couple of other stats we were using, and I was just saying, nah, dude. Like, listen. I mean, he was.
But Tom Brady has how many Super Bowls? I don't understand.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I'm glad you said that. Let's not be lazy here and say Sarah Parker has a championship because she plays for Sub-Zero. Yes, the Sub-Zero have a group of women who are phenomenal football players. 100% yes, but I think all of them to a player would tell you if they don't have Sarah as the quarterback, they're not winning that many championships. So let's be smart about this. Let's use our thinking caps on this one here.
No, for sure. Also, Tom Brady literally left his dynasty, went to go play for Tampa Bay, and they ended up winning when they bring Super Bowl. So I mean,
and again, like, listen, I mean, so I'm just trying to find the exact comments here. I just want to make sure I'm getting the context right here. Anyways, it is what it is. Sarah Parker is the GOAT in FPF. There's no second place. There's no, I think, second guessing about that. Again, Mode and Sandrine and Ann Emmanuel, a lot of other quarterbacks too, like Elizabeth Ashkar and Emily Adam, a lot of great ladies, a lot of great women playing quarterback here in FPF, and more power to them. But
there's so many talented quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's so many. We have so much talented quarterbacks in the Quebec region, just like that. But again, we said it's FPF. That's where we're getting our results from. But I think that.
Sorry, my bad. That's funny because this guy who I was talking to was like, he would say everything against how Sarah's not, but he would say no offense to Sarah. I don't know if Sarah's had a chance to read any of these comments on Facebook, but they're pretty funny. Again, the guy's name is Francois Bougie. I mean, that sounds like a fake name. Maybe it's not. I apologize if it's not.
He's a coach.
Yeah, maybe he's coach. That's great. He knows his stuff. Like, he was actually listing a lot of good things. So credit to him. It's just we were carrying on in like a conversation, and he was just like saying, well, I guess then Sidney Crosby is the best player in the NHL because he has this amount of points, and he's like, Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL then because he has this many touchdowns. Like, stop, please stop. You're not gonna win that argument. Anyways, Sarah Parker's the GOAT. I think we're done.
Yeah, pretty sure we're done.
All right. We try to get it under 2.5 hours. We're 10 minutes short of 2.5 hours, so it's another win. There you go. This has been the latest episode of Flag Plus Football's First and Goal podcast. Any questions for next week? I have one off the top of my head right now. Do you anyone you want to post?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna say so. I know we were at the dinner.
I have a question.
Okay, sure. Go.
Okay. Should we take away the onside kick?
Right.
For competitive 5v5, and the reason why I'm asking that is because I'm someone, and I'm sure a lot of the females as well too, the female teams and a lot of the teams that also travel, you don't have the luxury of doing 5v5. So it comes to a point when you're down 14 points and you're playing in Nashville, or you're playing in Florida, or even you're playing for the senior championships in coming up this in July, the first week of July. You don't have the ability to say, okay, guys, I'm down by 14 points with 3 minutes left. We're going to score a touchdown, go for onside, score again, get the 2-point convert, and end up winning that game. You don't get the luxury of that. So I think it's to a point where it does affect how games are run at times, and I think it does also affect how teams kind of look at things as going forward when they go compete other places. I do like the concept of 5v5 because it does show you like you're always able to have a chance to win. But if you're a team that's trying to get better and trying to understand the situation, there's no reason why you should be down by 14 in the first place. You don't deserve to win if you're down by 14 with 3 minutes left in the game. You kind of say, okay, guys, we played bad. It is what it is. So that's my question. My question is should we take away the 5v5 onside kick? Should we take away the onside kick for 5v5 competitive?
Okay. I'm gonna have another question now. I was thinking of it a little earlier when we started filming. For me, is who are the best rushers right now in FPF? So who are the top 3? You know what I would say? Who are the top 5 rushers in the men's divisions and the women's divisions? So obviously, when you think of the ladies, you think of the women. You have Jessica Bossy Tampin, obviously Sub-Zero. There's a lot of other players like Leah Duval and that. A lot of different ladies, a lot of different women have rushed the passers over the years. I think Jessica Bossy Tampin is the best, or she got at least make the argument for being that. But there's a lot of other women who rush the passer with a lot of success. You go to the men's division, guys. You mentioned them, Ethan, Adrian, obviously Rafa Morelli. You have Matt Kerouac, Isaiah Allard.
Yeah.
Zachary Obisco. There's a lot of guys you can go. So I want to find out who everyone thinks are the top 5 female rushers in FPF and the top 5 male rushers in FPF.
Cool.
So we're gonna have those on Instagram. I'll create the Facebook polls. We're gonna have those up again. Today's Wednesday, so I'm gonna try to have them up. I'll put them up Thursday. It'll be day before this episode comes out. Usually they come out Friday. Want to try and get some more votes in because, again, thank you to everyone who voted on the polls last time. The numbers were great. They're awesome. And, again, they're engaging. This is what we want. I'll put it a day early so we can get people out there and giving their opinions. And if you want to throw out stats, well, I don't know. Michael Parsons is the best rusher in the history of the NFL because, he plays for the Cowboys and he had this many sacks. Yeah. We're going to tear those arguments apart. But anyways, yeah. All right, so this has been the latest episode of the Flag Plus Football First and Goal podcast. I'm Brent Bakken.
I'm a place for them all.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes.
Do all that good stuff.
Subscribe. We're probably going to have maybe something for our subscribers coming up. So make sure you do subscribe to us.
All right. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.